Welcome to the Yerky Boys. May the Kandrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are the
Yerky Boys.
They're all big episodes from here on out, folks. This is book 49, The Diversion.
Yeah, this book came out in December of 2000.
Oh, man.
You know what that means?
I do know what that means.
Christmas book.
Oh yeah, that too.
Woo! Christmas book. This book is a gift. It's a gift to us from the Animorphs. From Santamorph. Oh, Santamorph here. I morphed into a bird to fly down your chimney and bring you this book. Oh.
As of recording, we have a long way to go till Christmas still. You shouldn't be this
If
joyful
you were
and merry.
Good little boy,
full of
you
cheer.
get the diversion. If you were a bad little boy, you get the whatever the fuck the kangaroo one was.
Yeah. Was that the unexpected?
You'll find out this Christmas. Oh. As his sleigh bells ringing as he flew away. I had to do that because we don't have any business, any pre-show business today. We're just really getting right into it unless you have something.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I mean, we don't. This might end up being a long episode. They might all
I don't think so.
End up being long episodes. We'll see.
I don't think so.
We'll find out.
What have we ever done a long episode before?
Well, this is a long book. If we have no pre-show
It is a
business.
long fucking book. Yeah.
Yes.
This book's long as fuck.
Yes, I looked at this. So, this is
Sorry
the
for cursing.
longest main series book we've read since book 21, The Threat, which was the middle of the David arc.
How long was that one?
Just barely longer. I don't know.
Wow, it was longer because this book was long.
Yeah. So as it turns out, like looking at it, about half of the books throughout seasons 1 and 2, little more than half of the books throughout seasons 1 and 2 were longer than this. So this is like the midpoint of seasons 1 and 2 for length. But since season 2, we have had no books that are as long as this one. So they've gotten shorter, but this one's big.
Wow, if you asked me in my memory, I would guess that none of the books were longer than like 150 pages, but it's just been so long, I guess. I got used to the short books.
I mean, also the very first book, The Invasion, is almost as long as like a later Chronicles.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's
I don't
crazy.
remember them ever taking that. Maybe I wasn't at first just paying as close attention or trying to be as good of a note taker. I don't remember them taking that long to get through. Whereas this one, I really felt, even before I got that far into it, I just had this feeling like this feels denser than usual. Like there's more words per page or something.
Yeah. And I mean, I will say, like, when we did book 1, I do remember thinking, like, this is way longer than I remembered it. It's just that at the time we were expecting to spend like an hour per book. So when we took like almost 2, it was like, oh my God. And now, look at us now.
Look how far we've come. It's I mean, maybe that's part of why the earlier books on average were better too. Like a lot of times I feel like one of my most common complaints with all the Animorphs books is I just wish they had more pages to do this.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my issues come from them having to rush things or skip over things that would have been better to see. So, Now, is this the last? Are any future books longer than this one or comparable to this one?
I believe so. I believe that when we get to the final 2 KA books, they're going to be close.
Okay.
I could pull out my chart again if I needed to here.
Well, you don't need to.
So the final 2 books are going to be longer than this one, but the rest of them are back to normal.
Okay. Well, it's pretty exciting. It's some crazy shit happening in today's book.
It is a lot of crazy shit happening in today's book, and I do think that one thing that we should try to keep in mind as we're reading it, and as we're reading every book going forward, is that from now on, every book is going to be the last character book. Actually, since last week, every book is going to be. So last week
Mm,
was the last Rachel book. This is the last Tobias book.
rip.
Rip. So we'll just kind of pay attention to that, and we'll try to receive them in that light, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully they go out on a good note.
Well, we'll see. We will judge them on that. We will. I mean, it's up to us to decide, right? Nobody else's opinion matters.
Hmm. Correct. Unless our listeners want to write into us
Oh,
at theyerkyboys@gmail.com, we will read your thoughts and opinions on the show. And hey, before we get started, also remind you that we do have a Patreon page, patreon.com/theyerkyboys. It's only $5 a month. If you're a fan of the show, you get twice the episodes, a bonus episode every week, plus full-length parody songs and more. And more with an asterisk. There may not be more. So check that out. Thanks so much for listening.
wow! I almost forgot about that because it's always in the pre-show business, and here we just jumped right in, and
Yeah, we dove in head first.
this is why our episodes are longer now. We didn't plug ourselves at the beginning.
Well, maybe we should start the show now with
Yeah.
the ghostwriter.
Yeah. So let's. This is Lisa Harkrader, who, as you may recall, did do book 44, the Australia book with
Uh-huh.
the kangaroo.
Yeah.
Um,
But you know what? It is not that bad.
no,
Let's continue. We don't need to
Yeah.
rehash this.
yeah, no, we don't have to rehash it, but just like
Well,
that's
maybe
where
we do a
know-
little bit
Yeah,
because this is her only the second book. Well, she did 3 of them. She only has one more left, right?
yeah. Because she's doing the odds, so she'll do book 51 after this as well.
So
And-
book 51 is really going to determine how I feel about her because right now there's just very different.
Yeah, I would agree, and so I mean, just based off of these two books, the assessment on my end is that book 44 is K.A. Applegate's fault. That like reading this one, it's like I think she did a pretty good job. I'll just say that right up front. And clearly she had an outline with a lot of stuff to do. And maybe the reason book 44 sucks is because she didn't have anything to do. And she just had to figure it out the whole way. It is also worth remembering that this is that lady who did that absolutely fucking insane book that you read the description of on air.
Which one was that?
The like playing basketball in your underwear shit, the secret of his father or whatever. I think this was this lady, yeah.
Oh
in
yeah,
my notes I was
Airball
reminded as
or
I looked
something.
through.
Or what was it called? It was called something like that. Naked Ballers or something.
Yeah.
Short, or no, it was called like Shorts Off. I don't know. Yeah, something. Some kind of pedophile book. I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm almost positive that this is her. Looking at my notes, I did not recheck. So if it was the book 46
Sure.
lady or something, then forgive me. But I'm gonna assume it's her.
Yeah, it's probably her.
All right. We want to talk about this cover.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. So there's Tobias. He's turning into a dog.
As promised.
As promised. There's new Tobias model.
Yeah. So I love this hawk turning into a dog. I don't know that we've seen a bird. Well, obviously we have not seen a bird to dog. We've never seen that.
Mhm.
And I just really like the little dog chicken thing. the middle hybrid that's just a little freak of nature, like almost like a chocobo. Just this little fucked up chicken animal with a dog head. I just imagine that jumping around, pleading for death. Pleading, I mean. I like it. I'm a fan.
I don't know. I feel like I'm not as huge a fan.
You don't like it?
Middle form and fourth form, the way the wings are just kind of stuck on awkwardly. Like it doesn't like, you know what I mean? Like they don't look like they flow.
Hey man, that's sometimes how morphing goes. You can't, it's different every time.
It's like he's got like shoulder pads, only the pads are tiny wings.
I see that in the fourth one, but I think the middle one looks funny and good. Look, he's got a little
I
beak
guess.
snout.
I
His
mean,
little half dog snout, half beak.
the second one I quite like. I like the four legs just kind of shoved together into two leg spots on the second one.
It's good. You know what I don't like about this cover?
Is it the model?
It's Tobias's Slim Shady looking ass fucking hovering in the background with the rays from heaven shining through the clouds behind him. He's looking like a force ghost. Get the fuck out of here. I don't want to see your punk ass bitch. Tobias isn't wearing a fucking necklace, okay? 99% of the time, he's a bird. You think he has a necklace on just in case he morphs to human? Fuck off.
Well, that's what he looked like before he became a bird. He wore that necklace everywhere. Right, you
Fuck
remember
this shit.
that part of his character that he did that?
Fuck this blonde ass bitch. I don't care what this book says either. Tobias's hair isn't even fucking blonde. Fuck off.
Right, it's like bleach blonde or something. I guess that is a natural blonde.
It's fucking brown.
I
bitch.
do like the rays from heaven, as you called them.
Except it's kind of melancholy. It looks like I don't know, it looks like Enya's about to start singing in the background. I don't know what's going on.
Because of that like artificial blue, deep blue thing, the mistiness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Quote on the front. It says, "This war can't go on forever. Will it be us or them? ... Question mark."
So it's 3 dots, but technically there is a dot as part of the question mark. So do we count that as 4 dots?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like 4 dots with a little curly over the last one in a sense. But
Yeah,
the
a little
inside is
curly.
also a 3-dotter, so there's part of me that thinks this is a 3-dot book.
They're fucking up. 3 dots. I guess it's a nice quote to kind of indicate, hey, this shit's maybe actually going somewhere in here.
Yeah.
Pick this one up.
We're actually going to end this fucking series maybe someday.
Might as well say this series can't go on forever. But as a pure quote in a vacuum, it doesn't exactly flow. It's not the most elegant thing I've ever read.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's
agreed.
Fine.
You know what I don't like is the cutout, which you probably can't see. But it should be shaped like the dog's face, right? Like it should include the snout, but instead it's just
I see.
It's like a pure oval over his head that like cuts off the tongue and nose. It sucks. It's dumb. You should have shaped it like the animal face.
Now, are they normally different shapes, those cutouts, or is it always a circle or an oval?
I feel like no, they're different shapes for sure. Like they shape them to the animal's head usually.
So they just straight up got lazy, or there was a manufacturing thing.
Yeah,
that's not right.
Yeah, or they didn't plan it properly. I don't know.
Damn.
I don't know.
It does look like shit. You're 100% right.
It's bad. All right, inside. Are you looking at it? Do you see it?
I'm looking at it.
I'm waiting for your impression here.
So there's a woman wearing sunglasses. I'll be vague for anyone who hasn't read the book yet. You know, I know what this is, but they don't know.
Right.
Maybe. And for the one freak out there, and they're reaching their hand out. They're in a grocery store is what it looks like. And there's there's Tobias as a dog. What is it? A German Shepherd?
Yeah, I think so. Named Champ.
Right. And he is really making a mess. There's a bunch of spilled cans and who knows what else. Oh, I see something else.
I believe Axe made that mess. Ooh, what do you see?
I see Orson.
Oh, shit. I didn't see an Orson watch alert.
Wow, yep. He's on. Look, if you look at the box on the shelves and on the floor.
I see him.
It's not only is it Orson, of course, David Mattingly's cat, but it also, the box is labeled Orson and it says 100% tuna on it.
Orson brand food.
So I guess that's Orson brand cat food or treats.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like it.
What cat food comes in a cardboard box like a Cheez-Its looking box or a cereal box? That's bizarre. But okay.
Yeah, so it could be
Um,
treats.
there's also a lady in the background shopping. She's got a lot of paper towel rolls in her cart and some other. It looks like her cart was filled in with AI. It just looks like gobbledygook.
It does, yeah. I mean, this whole thing looks pretty nice too. I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be like a 7-Eleven in a bad part of town in the book, but here it
Yeah.
kind of looks like just a grocery store,
Yeah,
like you're at ShopRite or something.
there's no fucking shopping carts at the 7-Eleven. That's insane.
Right?
This is weird. And but diversity watch, there is a appears to be a woman in a burqa at the counter. Is that progressive or racist?
I can't make out any details on this person at the counter.
Oh, well, they're definitely wearing like it looks like a burqa. I mean, that's
Okay, sure.
all I could tell you. Not the one standing up, but the one like
Yeah.
behind the counter. Yeah.
They're yeah.
I
You're gonna
would
say
also
something
just say
better.
this. Well, this we can move on from that. This I'm sorry I brought it up at all. This woman in the foreground looks a lot younger than I thought she was supposed to look in the book.
I
If
think you're
that's
probably right. You're probably right about
this
that.
looks like Rachel, but it's not Rachel.
Kind of doesn't. Actually, I think this woman's identity is not spoiled on the inner cover or back cover, and I'm not even sure that her
Wow.
identity is spoiled in the preview chapter. Like, this is a rare thing for
Holy
Animorphs.
shit. Well, we won't
Crazy.
spoil it then.
Yeah.
But yeah, this looks like I would say this woman is maybe in her like at the oldest in her early 30s. This does not look like an I don't we'll get to it when we get
Yeah.
to the book, but I think she's supposed to be in her shouldn't she be in her at least in her 40s? I don't really remember honestly how long ago that was.
Yeah, I mean, no, she shouldn't quite be in her 40s, but she should be by, like, late 30s.
Okay. Well, maybe she just,
Well,
all
maybe
right.
I'm wrong about that. Maybe she is in her 40s. I don't know.
We'll do the
Yeah,
math. We'll do it later.
we'll figure it out when we get there. Now this inside quote, I'm curious to get your take on this inside quote. It's
Okay.
nobody dogs Tobias except Tobias. ...
The fuck. All right. Was dogs a common slang in the year 2000? I don't really feel like that's one I ever heard much of.
Yeah, I was
Dogs?
trying to parse this. I was like, I swear people say that sometimes, but I don't have any idea what it means.
Do they mean raw dogs?
Right. Yeah. Yes. I think you're right.
Tobias would be the guy who raw dogs a flight. Actually, he does all the time. You know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, because he doesn't have earbuds or anything. He's not
Right.
listening to an audiobook while he's floating on thermals.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very stupid, strange quote. Nobody dogs Tobias except Tobias. I get it because that they're using the second meaning is turning into a dog.
Right. It's like
To-
the noun has become a verb now.
Tobias dogs Tobias, which doesn't really that's not how you would
Right.
describe it.
I mean, I don't know. He dogs himself. So if
Ugh.
Jake morphs into a tiger, does Jake tiger himself?
Yeah, nobody tigers. How about
Cassie
this?
wolves herself.
How about this? Nobody bugs Marco except Marco.
I swear to God, they've done that one.
I mean, that's a little better. That's what they intend with this one, but I don't. Nobody dogs. Does it just mean like hounding, like annoying?
Yeah,
Quit
I mean,
dogging me, bro.
if they said hounds, I'd get it.
Yeah, dogs.
Sounds.
Tobias. Yeah.
Yeah, go
Oh,
check
well.
Urban Dictionary and write in and tell
Uh-oh.
us at
I
your
looked
Geek
it up.
Boys.
It's
you
not
did?
good. It's not good.
I feel
No,
like
it was-
you might be looking at the wrong definition.
I don't know. It's got a picture of a dog and everything. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Okay.
Are we done with this cover?
Yeah, I just want to say that the Italian title of this book is Lesilio.
Speaking of which, do you know what the diversion in this book is?
I do believe there is at least one instance where someone creates a diversion. However, I don't know that it's significant enough to be the basis for the title of the book.
Yes, that is what I thought too, and I was like, maybe there's another way to interpret that.
Yeah, well, I don't think well, maybe there is. We'll figure it out as we go.
We'll see. Listen, the title writers don't know what's in the book when they make the titles.
They're
This is
picking
well
a word out of a
established.
hat.
Yeah. All right. So we're probably gonna. There's a lot of very big important moments in this. I think there might be more revelations in this than in the revelation, and there were a lot of revelations in the
Mm.
revelation.
I mean,
So
yeah, by volume. I don't know that they're all. Some of them are the same revelation multiple times, but there are more of them.
so yes, I am probably going to stop kind of frequently, just because that way we can kind of isolate the big revelations, and if we have to talk about like stupid bullshit, we won't be walking over the important stuff. So I'm just letting everybody know as a heads up here.
Okay.
Okay, so this book opens in a pretty classic Tobias story way, right? We get a regular old scene of Tobias. He's in his meadow. He's being a hungry bird. Um, he goes in to catch a mouse, but a rattlesnake gets it. So I guess he's going hungry. And that's when Rachel shows up with some McDonald's. Tobias eats one of the patties as a hawk, and then he demorphs to sit with Rachel and eat the rest of the McDonald's. It's kind of like a picnic date. Um, so okay, let's just stop before we get into the real shit here. This is a standard series, a standard scene. We've seen this before, basically, right?
Yeah, it's crazy why do I have so many notes on what you just said?
Right?
um,
I mean, that's going to be the
well,
problem, isn't it?
yeah, well, right off the bat, though,
hmm
I do think, I don't know if maybe this is how Tobias's books always are. Maybe I've just been numbed to the pain of some previous books we've read, but immediately I felt like this had a better written, more into Tobias's classic, almost poetic kind of style of thinking and speaking. Like there's like one sentence here is dust billowed out from the undergrowth, which doesn't sound like anything
hmm
that crazy, but I feel like for an Animorphs book, that's fucking pretty good.
I
Dust billowed
yeah.
out from the undergrowth.
That is pretty good. Yeah, and I was thinking for a while, not just here, but like up through like chapter 8 or 9, that this book felt very very like old school. Like this would have just kind of
Mm-hmm.
fit right in among like, book 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or whatever. It felt
Well,
yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna say right now, even though yes, there are many revelations in this book, as you
hmm
said, it's I think part of what makes it work really well is the formula still is following that earlier formula more.
hmm
It feel like we start off with this kind of Animal Planet, here's what a hawk does. It's kind of comforting and familiar after all the weird shit that we've been through. And then as the book progresses, we also are going to get, oh, the Animorphs have a mission and it involves morphing into an animal. And there's actually a reason you need to morph that animal. And it's not like, I don't know, what if we got a cheetah or some shit? Let's just try it. It feels organic in the way that the earlier books did when it was just like, well, if we have to get in there, I guess I'll try being a bug.
hmm
It has that old school classic Animorphs vibe to me, with also actual plot happenings.
Yes. Yes, and there are a lot of just like character beats and sentences that I think felt very in line with the characters in like an old school way. Like this did not feel like the characterization of Margot and Rachel and Axe and Tobias and whatever, is spotty among the Ghost Writers. I did kind of get the sense that Lisa Harkwriter really did do her research by going back and rereading the early series to get a sense of what the hell she was writing.
Yeah, I would hope so. That would be nice. Maybe they made her because they were like, look, the series is ending, so this actually matters now.
Yeah, I mean,
we actually care.
There are only two ghostwriters alternating, so yeah, they probably did like pick people that were like, okay, we're entrusting it to you two. So
yeah, I mean, I'm just glad that it wasn't Ryan Johnson and then J.J. Abrams did the next one, because that would be, imagine that.
Mm-hmm. Even worse if J.J. Abrams set it up and then Ryan Johnson kind of like took it off of the shitty J.J. Abrams rails, and then J.J. Abrams concluded it and just kind of put it back on his rails with no regard for the fact that it was being taken in an interesting direction.
Right. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Here's what I don't get. Some of the logistics surrounding, here we are 49 books in.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't really understand morphing.
Yes.
I feel like I'm asking
that. Yeah, I know what
the
you're going to say.
same questions I was asking in book 1. Okay, well, I mean, I have two things, really.
Oh,
the first one is, I have two things. The first one is this Big Mac.
Right.
So Tobias decides, give me just the patty, or one of the patties, right? A Big Mac has two patties.
Mm-hmm.
Give me one of those patties. I'm going to eat that while I'm a hawk so that my hawk belly is full. Then I'll turn into a boy and eat the rest of it because, I just miss being a boy biting into a Big Mac.
Mm-hmm.
So he has to eat as a hawk because otherwise when he morphed back from a boy, he would be hungry again. But then I don't. So if the food stays in his hawk stomach, or shouldn't maybe he should
must,
be
right?
a boy and then eat the burger as a bird after. I don't. It's strange that he goes into such detail. Like they make a point of him doing this, which indicates that they do know how it works.
See, it's funny because we really do not have time in a book with so many important things to be talking about this, but I did make a note of it. I did not put down a note that was like, don't let John talk about this.
Yeah, there's always time for this.
Right, of course.
I'm just trying to understand. And my other thing is, it's okay. And this is actually going to come up a little later, not far from now, pretty early on actually. But we established 2 or 3 books ago that randomly it's now known that Animorphs can morph clothes now with no issue. That was established.
And by established, you mean they said for like 2 sentences that was true back in the Beaver book. Yes, you're right about that.
Correct. So, well, later on, someone mentions a morphing suit.
Yes. There's going to be morphing suits later.
Don't like that.
Yeah.
But even before we get there, I'm just thinking about the fact that Tobias is a bird most of the time. When he morphs into a human, he apparently is still wearing clothes. He has an outfit on. So he's a human with clothes on. He morphs back into a bird. Then if the bird morphs into a cow, like the clothes still stay in Z space while he's a cow? Like the clothes, no. Oh, the cow doesn't wear clothes. That's for the boy version only. That's on reserve in a special boy chamber.
Yeah, I mean, where did he get those clothes? Because he didn't acquire them. He didn't acquire a morphing outfit from his human form, because when he went back in time, his human form wasn't wearing a morphing outfit. So if he does have a morphing outfit, maybe he's been naked the whole time, but I think he hasn't been. If he does have a morphing outfit, where did he get that from? Did he just make it up? And if he can now morph clothes because they figured out how, where did he get those clothes from? Because they aren't part of the morph, right?
Yeah. It seems like the clothes are just part of the morph. I mean, yes. There's no other explanation.
But he didn't acquire them.
Well, I
So did he
guess if
put them on
you
and then take them with him
yes.
into his morph?
Yes, Rachel bought him an outfit.
But
He wore it once, and it just knows that's now part of the
but
morph.
the injuries don't stick around.
Well, no.
It knows that those aren't part of the morph.
Maybe there's AI, and it knows.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we've had this discussion many times. It doesn't actually make sense, and the best way to deal with it is to just be like, it doesn't make sense. Just don't
It's
think about it.
it's
Jesus.
just frustrating when they talk. They keep talking
Mhm.
about it. Like I can't. If they just were like, yeah, he morphed, but they're like, yeah, he's got an like they talk about it. He's
Mhm.
eating the Big Mac. He's eating onions. He's spotting dimes. I don't know what to believe.
One thing that I do think is pretty interesting about this scene is
Uh huh.
so obviously we've had this basic scene a million times before, right? Tobias is in his meadow. He wants to eat a mouse. He can't for some reason, right? There's a raccoon, or the mother bunny shows up, or there's another hawk, or whatever. In this case, there's a snake. Pretty much every other time, that scene is somehow like thematically important, right? Like, because the book on some level is about the duality of his hawkness and his humanness or something, right? Like, there's something about the reason why he can't, because he has to empathize with this, or he can't fight the other hawk because blah blah blah. um there's something about that. And here, this snake just, I mean, what's this snake thematically tied to in the book? I don't think it ties to anything. This to me doesn't feel like a Tobias Meadow scene that's supposed to be a microcosm of, what Tobias's arc in the book is. This is just a Tobias scene. This is just Cassie and Rachel turn into mice and run Cassie's experiment in school. Right? And I'm
Mm.
wondering, is this the only Tobias as Hawk scene that's just everyday slice of life Hawk scene to get you into it, as opposed to like somehow supposed to tie into something?
There's got to be more, but I don't know if they're at the beginning of the book.
Mhm.
Like maybe not as an opening scene, but yeah, but
Yeah,
it
I
is.
guess there's maybe.
Yeah, it's nice. I like it. I
Yeah,
like that it doesn't have anything else. It's just a cute little scene with Tobias and Rachel, which what do you know? Who to thunk it actually shows you their relationship with each other.
yeah, they have a nice little date. It's nice. Yeah,
Is that maybe the only time it's ever happened? That might be the more exciting thing here.
yeah, yeah. No, because I mean, that was my mindset. As I was like, "Ooh, he goes in and there's a snake. How does this snake tie in?" And then I was like, "I don't think it does." But why do I think it should? I guess it's because it always does.
Well, the
But
snake does come back.
there is another snake. But like, what? Well, when we get there, I'm going to say again, why? Does it matter? It doesn't matter. It's just a
Good
thing.
question. Well,
All right.
there's a lot of exposition that has to be given at this stage of the series.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they were just like, look, we can't, thematic or not thematic, we need to
Yeah.
explain to everyone about the Yerks and the Animorphs and the Elemist, and
Yeah.
it's a lot.
Yeah, and I don't mind these slice of life scenes. Everyone else gets them. Why shouldn't Tobias? But yeah, like you said, the exposition in this book goes on longer than most of what we've seen. It goes on to like chapter 5, and again, it's because fucking there's so much lore that you need to have, and
It's insane.
yeah, unlike the other books where you don't really need the lore because the book doesn't really matter. This one does, so you need it.
And with Tobias too, yeah, you need a
Yeah,
lot of lore in this book. I mean, even just generally, even the fact that you have to explain A, why he's a hawk, and B, why he can morph now.
right.
That in itself is like, if you aren't familiar with the series somehow, or if you missed that book somehow, then you're just like, how do you even comprehend any of that? It's bonkers. And I also really like that Rachel asks if he wants her to take the pickles off his burger. I just like that Rachel is Tobias's extrovert girlfriend at the McDonald's who takes it back to the guy and says, "I said no pickles on this one."
I think in the meme it's like he said, because she does it for
Right,
right.
right. Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Daisy and Luigi or whatever.
Yeah, that's their relationship, and that's nice. I like it.
Yeah, it's good.
All right.
All right. Okay. So, okay.
Okay.
Actual plot of this book. All right.
Hey,
Cassie
that's
has
pretty fucking early for an Animorphs book.
it is, yeah. Cassie has called an emergency meeting. So they all show up at her barn. According to Cassie's mom, two guys broke into the veterinary ward at the gardens looking not for money or for like, horse drugs to like lace Fent into their whatever, but rather they were looking for blood samples. And they were specifically looking for blood samples of all of the Animorphs battle morphs. And they were very, very upset when there was no hawk blood there. Jake knows from Tom that the sharing is currently sponsoring a huge blood drive. And the conclusion here seems to be that they are looking for matches of animal DNA in human blood, which means they know that the Animorphs are human. So, like, oh shit, right?
Oh shit.
Oh shit. And they're talking about it, and they're like, Rachel was like at the doctor when she had yam foot, and she was delirious. They might have our blood like on file somewhere if they can just get into it. And they're like, well, we got to do something about this. Jake figures they should probably infiltrate whatever like blood bank center thing they're doing the testing at. And then they can figure out what to do when they know exactly what it is the Yeerks know, right? If they jump in too early, they'll give themselves away as human. So that's what that's what they figure they're going to do.
Uh-oh.
I know, I'm dying over here.
Uh-oh.
This is the point where a minor scene shows up where Tobias like hunts a snake in someone's yard, and then they fucking shoot at him with a compound bow. So that happens, but when he's done with that, Marco and Axe have like finished. They hacked into like every medical place ever, and they're like, well, this one we can't get into, so that must be the Yeerks. We found it very quickly, and Jake's like, all right, well, you found it. Let's not waste time. We're gonna go right in and do that plan. Okay, so already massive bombshell. The Yeerks most likely, or at least suspect that they are human.
Yeah, they really jumped into it relatively fast because I was prepared for already. The revelation for me was, well, at least the Yeerks have finally figured out they keep using the same animal morphs every time.
Right?
That was enough of a shock to my system. But then immediately they double down. No, not just that. They know they're human, or at least they suspect that they're human.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and this is a huge deal.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a huge deal.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And this is the sort of thing that you probably could have said. Like, in some ways, I really do like that they just don't even bother to give a reason as to how they came to this suspicion, because the answer is they suspected it in book fucking 1. It's just Visser 3 was too stupid to hear it. So they don't need a reason. But this is also the sort of thing where the Yeerks suspect that they're human. New Visser 1 suspects that they're human, but they don't know. You could have introduced this plot in book like fucking 40 and just had 10 books of this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Instead of the bullshit that they were doing.
Even if you kept most of the plots in those books the same, but you had this ongoing thread as a lingering threat in the background, that would have added so much and made it really feel like, oh, something is happening here. Things are getting more intense. This is a different level than we're used to operating on. You could have little teases of, I know you're humans maybe for a few books, and then, you're definitely humans, but I don't know which humans you are. But this feels like, well, it's finally, they gave us the green light at last. Just put it all in this book. which still works, but yeah, it would have been. I would have liked it if it happened a lot earlier.
A lot of things in this book, and it's similar to the Revelation in that regard. There are a lot of points in this book where it kind of feels like it's less like my criticism is that this book did it. I'm really happy this book did it, and I think it did it in a really good way. It's more that like the existence of this book makes the earlier books worse because there's no reason that you couldn't have been doing this the whole time and made those books better, kind of thing.
Yeah. I almost don't even know what to do with myself with this book. Like I'm not I'm not used to things actually occurring.
Yeah, and being important and mattering. Yeah, that was like a year ago.
Yeah,
Last time
it's
that happened.
it's not something I'm used to happening. Is this news to me that, or did I just forget about this, that animal DNA stays in your normal human blood after you morph, or vice versa?
That has
Like they
never been said as a thing that is definitely true, but the Animorphs have
Okay.
worried that it might be true before. Like in the Yamfoot book, I think they said like, "Oh, don't go to the doctor if you don't have to, because like, who knows? Who knows what the hell they'll see if they like do a blood sample or something? Like, I don't know.
Hmm.
I just don't know."
Okay. Okay. So it's been brought up. Interesting. Yeah. I mean,
You would
it
think
doesn't.
Axe would have just told them at some point
Yeah.
whether or not that was a
Well,
thing,
maybe he
but
doesn't know.
yeah,
But also, does it make sense? Yet again, another morphing
yeah.
thing that doesn't make sense. Why? Why would animal DNA? What does that even mean?
I
What does
mean,
that mean? It's
they
in your
need the
blood.
DNA to build the body, right? So like the parts are all sitting in Z space, but whatever the
Hmm.
tech is has to work from normal space. So it needs the DNA. So it needs a couple strands to rebuild it or something. I don't know.
Like,
Maybe Axe
where
didn't
are
explain it
those?
because he was all like, it's well, it's sort of like DNA, but it's also in sort of I don't know, quanto whatever state bullshit fucking and yeah, so I don't know if human tech could determine it's there or not. I don't know.
Maybe it should be a computer chip in your brain. Maybe that's what I want. The animal DNA gets stored on the chip like a memory card.
So it's like nanites from the blue box.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. Yeah, that's a bit weird, but okay, it's fine. That's whatever. It's a device. It works. I don't. What's the point of the chi? Honestly, at this point, if Axe can
Yeah,
hack
right.
every bank or whatever, why the fuck do we need robots? They're useless.
Yeah, the cheese, and they do bring that up here. Jake's like, we haven't heard anything about this from the cheese, so they didn't help.
Yeah, yeah. This is their only job, is to spy on the Yerks and give them intel. How the fuck did they miss this? Christ. Well, we're gonna see more chi later.
Yeah, they'll still
Um,
be around.
maybe the cutest thing I've ever heard in my life is the idea that Tobias sometimes sleeps in Rachel's sock drawer.
I
She
don't even
makes a
know.
little nest for
I
him.
don't even know how often he does it. Like I think
He said it's when it's raining. When it,
Okay, yeah, yeah. Because I remember him lamenting it and being all like, Marco would just go do that all the time if he was me. Why am I not more like that? Why do I feel the need to
yeah,
go be a hawk?
yeah,
Tobias
which I
yearns
also
for the cuck
liked.
cage. Is what it
I
is.
the, he does, as do we all. This is a book that I think, contrary to what you were saying before, understands most, if not all, of the Animorphs well. And besides just Tobias, also the ancillary ones in this book.
Wait, that's
Um,
contrary to what I said.
well, you were saying not about this book, but you were saying how most of the
Oh,
Ghostwriters books don't do that.
or at least they're spotty. Yeah, yeah.
Right, right. Um, and one, especially the way that Tobias views them, and I think this is a good example of that, where he's talking about Marco and how he wishes he could be so carefree and cavalier and
Hmm.
all that. He's not that guy. But someone please just draw me a fan art, David Mattingly style of Tobias snoozing in Rachel's sock drawer while she's reading a book in bed or doing some math homework. That's cute.
Yeah, that is nice. That is nice. I do like that. I like that they had a little picnic date. It's nice to see them actually have something like a relationship. We had our
Yeah,
last Rachel book, and she didn't interact with any other Animorphs except maybe 2 sentences with Cassie. So it's nice that we get to see some of it in Tobias's last book.
it's not that hard to do. You
Yeah.
don't need to do much. There's so many chances to just give us a little scene here and there, and they never do it.
Yeah.
But they did it here. Also, give me the sitcom with Axe and Marco as roommates.
Yes,
really wanna
I
see that.
love the descriptions of their like living situation because Marco's parents are living back in the Hork-Bajir Valley, but Marco spends a lot of time hanging out with Axe, so Axe had to expand his scoop, and now it's full of all of Marco's junk because he keeps picking up or stealing or finding junk.
Yeah, he's like, I don't even know where Marco gets this shit.
Yeah.
Not a lot of talk about Tobias and Axe being shorms, but it seems like Marco and Axe have a better friendship now.
Yeah, I don't know that they really did as much with that as they needed to.
Axe should also maybe be a little more invested in this plot. It just occurred to me than he is, but I guess we don't get his POV. But he sort of has an interest in this and what the plot to come.
Yeah, he should, but yeah, he doesn't. You are right. He doesn't seem to care at all in a way that's a little bit weird.
Yeah, I didn't think about it while reading it, but now
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute.
I didn't think about that at all until right now either. Again, I think we should, because I mentioned it here, the Hork-Bajir Valley where Marco's parents are living. They mention here that they had to relocate. No details on, the whole point was that it was a secret magical valley that the Elemist provided for them. So, did they go to a new secret magical valley? Is this one just not secret and magical? How come the Yerks aren't finding it if it's not secret and magical? How did they find it? How did any of that work? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Again, I think that's honestly, at this point, it's for the best. That's not where our focus is. But in the same way that it kind of makes the books worse that we weren't doing that other plot all along. This kind of makes it worse in that it's like, okay, so then just fucking cross out the Beaver book.
Yes.
Like, we don't need that.
There's no point at all. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah. 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 How about that snake, though?
Yeah, how about that snake? I was going to ask, what do you have? I mean, does this tie in at all? Does this matter? Or do we just have an aside where somebody shoots a bow at Tobias?
Tobias is hungry. I mean, look, first of all, eating mice is one thing. He's out here eating live snakes. Tobias, you nasty.
It's a garden snake. It's not like a nasty
Any kind of a snake is nasty. He's fucking picking up a snake and tearing it apart in his beak and swallowing the snake guts.
When you would, I feel like I'd rather eat
No.
a snake than a mouse.
No, I don't want to eat a reptile. That's weird. I'd rather eat a mouse.
I feel like the scales would peel off cleaner than the fur,
Ugh. Gross.
I'm getting in there in that meat,
Ugh.
That's just how I feel.
I mean, I'd be the bird at the McDonald's eating the Big Macs in the dumpster, so
Right. Yeah, you'd be Marco.
I'd be Marco. Yeah, I don't know. I think the snake, you can just say, oh, it's just more, they're trying to really paint a picture of the hawk life, and how sort of out of place Tobias is. There's let's say, I don't know, the juxtaposition of his wild nature in this suburban developed area. Although it seems like there's like a redneck hick living here.
Yeah, I don't. That is so. Yeah, because like the closest I can get is there's a bit here where he's like, "Ugh, my human brain's gonna get my hawk brain into trouble." Right? My human brain was like, "I can totally go in and get that snake. It's kind of like revenge for the other snake, and plus I got something to prove." And my hawk brain would know better because, like, of course it's dangerous because of course the guy's gonna come out with a fucking compound bow and shoot at a random bird. And what the hell? What are you talking about? What is this scene? And like, yeah, okay, that that dichotomy of like human brain and hawk brain, and like the human brain will get hawk brain into trouble, is a consistent theme across Tobias books, but that's not really the focus of this book at all when we get into Tobias's aspects here. So I don't know what this scene is.
It's strange. I mean, it's entertaining. It's some stuff for Tobias to do, but I mean, it's, when he almost gets got by an arrow. It's a little scary.
Sure, why not? Uh,
It's fine. It's fine.
How do you feel about Axe when he says, Yerks do not invent, they steal. Everything they have,
Yeah.
they have taken from other species. They do not have the intelligence or the integrity to invent a morphing technique of their own.
It's good. I love it.
Fucking racist.
It's a good classic little Axe moment. I mean, come on. You can be racist against the Yerks.
We're the Yerky boys.
Yerks.
He can't be racist against me.
A lot of birds you can be racist against,
Yeah,
and
that's okay.
Texans.
Well, maybe not that one.
I
Arn are
think so.
okay. Skritna.
Arn. Oh yeah, fuck. Well, yeah, they're assholes. Father, you can be racist against father.
Can you? Is that even possible?
He's a race all to himself.
Sure.
Howlers. Although Howlers learned the power of love, so I guess you can't be racist against them.
Yeah, and that only happened because Cassie wasn't racist. Cassie figured out that you could do that because she was the only one who was like, you can't have a whole species of evil people.
Bam, bam. Don't take Krayak. Don't take Drode. Don't take no Visser 3 to ride this road. I'm doing a retroactive Power of Love parody for that book that has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now. So let's move on.
Look forward to the entire series album where every book gets a song. It'll be out by the end of this podcast.
Well, some books have 2 songs, so maybe I should do 2 for every book to make it even. Actually, just one book has 2 songs, but still. No,
that's still technically some.
Mm-hmm.
All right, dude, are we ready to do some more here?
Yeah. Come on.
All right, so they're going to this blood thing. So they fly in, they show up at Midtown Bioservices Incorporated. This is the Yerk place that's doing the blood samples. The doors and such are blocked by GLEAT biofilters, so they will need a diversion to get through. I don't think this counts, but they'll need
the diversion.
They will need it. So I guess there's a circus in town next door. So Rachel decides to morph elephant, and she's gonna like cause chaos and destroy the biofilter, and then she'll lead the controllers away and like disappear into the circus elephants, which I guess the whole point was to get in not suspiciously, so that the Yerks wouldn't realize that they'd infiltrated and that they cared and that they were humans, and I guess this counts as not suspicious. Whatever. Fuck it. Who cares? Who cares? Because the circus, whatever. So, fine. Okay. She does that. She does a scene. She like throws a stop sign into the door and busts the filter. I don't know. Whatever. And the rest of the Animorphs go in as flies and demorph. This is where they realize that Marco's morphing outfit, which he has on for some reason, looks like the blue bands that the blue band Hork-Bajir wear. So they all morph Hork-Bajir and they makeshift some blue bands. There's like a classic scene where they're like, oh, let me see your identification. And they're like, oh, are you questioning me? Oh, that's rich. Visser One himself will eat whatever. They get in. They get in, and Axe gets on the computers, and he sees that the Yerks have in fact found a partial match. They haven't looked at it yet, but the computer has found it. But it's only a partial match. It's a family member. And the family member is Tobias's mom. So they found Tobias's mom. This is crazy. But at that moment, some old granny controller comes in. She's wearing like orthopedic shoes and reading glasses. She looks like an old lady. And she's like, aha, I got you now. There's like a standoff, but Granny sees on the screen that they found a match. there's like a huge fight between the Animorphs and the real blue band Hork-Bajir. Uh, Marco's literally dying, and they're like, "We gotta retreat. There's no time for Axe to erase this match file. We gotta go now." So they know about Lauren, and Rachel smashes through the wall with a forklift in Bear Morph, and they fight their way out. Whole thing ends in like a massive explosion that the Animorphs fly out of. Okay,
Pretty cool.
big scene. And again, a lot of these early infiltration bits, do feel like early book infiltration bits, right? Like
Yeah.
when they go in as flies, they have the gross out fly stuff. There's some good Marco jokes in here. Some of the
Mhm.
Rachel elephant stomping feels very early book,
Yeah, but sometimes when we say that, it could be derogatory, like it's
Mhm.
time to move on. But here, I think it's a good thing.
Yes.
It doesn't just feel like an early book. It feels like an Animorphs book.
Mm. Yeah, that
It's like, yes, this is how these are supposed to go.
yeah, that might be a better way to describe it, because I do mean more like stylistically, unless like the
Yeah,
content should be earlier. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. It feels correct and not in a way that's forced or trying too hard to remind you of the good old days.
Hmm.
It's just like, yeah, this is the kind of shit those Animorphs get up to.
Yeah.
It's a fun scene. It's a good scene. I mean, we already talked about the morphing outfits,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Like couple of quotes that are just, Tobias is talking about Rachel as an elephant, and he says, "You've made her a very happy pachyderm. It's been weeks since her last car stomping." That's just a classic Animorphs line. There's a
yeah,
bit
yeah,
where
that's
when
great.
they have to cut up Marco's shirt, he's like, "No looking. There's no telling what the sight of my naked torso might make you do. I'm lethal at the beach." Classic Marco, classic lines. Good presentation.
Yeah. I also like when Tobias tells Marco that they didn't tell him about the circus because Jake was afraid he'd try to join it. He says, the whole clown thing. Good stuff. I like when Tobias gets a zinger off on Marco.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's it's a lot
Yeah.
of fun. I even like that even though okay, yes, it's a little bit convenient that Marco's shirt is the exact same color as the
Mm-hmm.
blue band Hork-Bajirs or whatever. But it's another one of those adventure point and click game type of puzzles. It feels like, how do we
Mm-hmm.
disguise ourselves? Look around the room, see if we can find some materials. I think that's a fun thing, and it works. And you get to bring back those blue bands, who I guess I don't understand. Weren't they specifically working for old Visser One? Or am I misremembering that? Or are
Um,
they just mercenaries, or what's their deal?
I think they were Visser 3 guys. Like Visser 1 had her own um like high level strike force, but maybe they were, but like these are the elites, right? Like the best of the best.
Yeah.
So it would make sense that they are, Visser 1 is commanding blue bands now that he's Visser 1.
True. I might just be mixing it up because they were around at the same time as Visser
Yeah,
One
it's
stuff.
also confusing because the blue bands didn't show up until like this season, I think, maybe. Or no,
Last
I'm sorry,
season,
not
maybe.
this season, until season 4 maybe.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
and Visser 1 uh Edris first showed up in book 5 and did have elite Hork-Bajir that were not the blue bands. So, because the K Applegate hadn't come up
Yeah.
with them
Well,
yet.
the blue bands means they have double the health and they hit for more damage.
Yeah. And I think you said something to that effect before, that we have
Yeah.
the boss
Yeah.
level enemies that are now mixed
Right.
in.
Um, they needed a stronger enemy, but they couldn't spend the money on an entirely new animation, so they just did a palette color swap. That's
Yeah.
all.
These guys are bigger. They have a blue band.
I listen, I'm sorry, I know you don't are tired of hearing it, but I'm still every time I read Visser 1, I'm still confused.
You'll get there maybe.
When I read 47 books of Visser 3 is Visser 3 and Visser 1 is Visser 1, I can't it's going to take me longer than 3 or maybe even 7 to to change the way I think of that in my head.
Well, we'll
It's just
just call
not going to
them
happen.
Esplin and Edris from now on.
But I mean, think about if you're going on the Animorphs subreddits, like you're a fan of Animorphs and you've read the whole series, and you're just like casually talking about, oh, who would win in the fight or which is your favorite character or villain. You're calling him Visser 3. You're not fucking saying Visser 1 because that's what he was at the end. He's Visser 3.
It is true. You would in a general sense, like outside of the series, call him Visser 3.
But people would be confused. Be like, who the fuck are you talking about? Anyway, sure. There is at least one line in this book where Tobias does say, formerly Visser 3 or something. So at least they acknowledge it, not like the last book. I'm going to complain about it every episode. I don't give a fuck. If you don't like it, don't listen.
Yeah, I think that'll be every episode.
Just fucking get ready for it.
That's just how it is. This granny controller.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about her. I kind of love her. I wish she had a name. I wish she was in more books. It seems like this whole human initiative thing is like her project. If they had started this human initiative thing 10 books ago, they could have had this, Edna, right? Edna's here. And she's gonna...
Can I give you the perfect solution to this?
Yeah.
And it's very confusing considering who this ghostwriter is also. I don't know if you recall the gym teacher controller. I believe that's what they said. In the Cassie Australia book, The Unexpected.
Yeah. Yes.
In her extended fight sequence, there's this controller human lady who she says looks like a gym teacher by the same author. And even in that book alone, we were like, it's weird that this character doesn't come back. Like they seem like setting it up as if you're supposed to know her or she's significant. Just make that the granny, or make this character the gym teacher. Then you're like, oh shit, it's that person. They must be important.
Yeah. Because she figured it out. Because she was like, how did the Andalite
And they're
hide
almost
on
the same. Like gym teacher, granny. It's like, why aren't they just? And it's the same author.
Are they really the same? I don't think that they're that the same.
I think of a granny as they're referring to her as a granny, but she's got to be like agile enough to be running around commanding troops and shit. So she's not like 90.
They do talk about her as having like graying hair pulled up in a bun and orthopedic shoes. So, I mean, I think she is a granny. She is old.
Why the fuck is this the choice of host?
Lisa Harkrider is just good at making like villain of the week characters that should be expanded on and aren't named.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, that seems like a very big missed opportunity to me.
Agreed.
But Tobias's mom.
Yes, Tobias's mom. I almost forgot that got revealed in this section.
Yes, who we know is Lauren.
Yes.
The former lover of Alan Fangor.
Yes.
Who was my first thought, by the way, when they said, oh, they have some Tobias DNA. I thought it was going to be old Alan Fangor's DNA on record somewhere or something. And then no, it's Lauren. I don't know what we were supposed to assume. I just haven't thought about her in so long. Were we supposed to think she was dead, or we just didn't know?
I think it's been inconsistent. There have been times where Tobias said that she lived somewhere. Who knows? She left and moved halfway across the country. Nobody knows where she is. And I think there might have been a time where he said she died. And I think that you're kind of supposed to take away that maybe he doesn't really know. But yeah, we certainly have no idea that she exists in any meaningful sense, or was going to come back in any meaningful sense. And we certainly didn't know that, as we find out here, she lives fucking 8 blocks from Tobias's house and never visited him.
Yeah, which is pretty good. It's a great little twist. And I mean, this is a character from the Andalite Chronicles many books ago, returning here now in a very significant role.
Yes.
It's kind of exciting.
And it's going to be a huge part of this book, so like we'll talk about it more, but like yeah, that is a thing when you first saw that, oh shit, this is going to be like Lauren's going to they found Lauren. This is a Tobias book. Clearly this must be a big deal. I don't think that's a spoiler. Like I don't know, you're
Yeah.
reading it for the first time. That's got to hit pretty hard, right? Like what's your reaction to
Yeah.
that?
If you're just a big Lauren fan and you're going online and saying, I just want to read the key Lauren books, then now you're reading Andalite Chronicles, and then you just follow up with this one, and this is the direct sequel. You're like, oh, here's what Lauren's up to now.
That's true.
Kind of a fun. Did you ask me a question?
Not really.
Oh, okay.
Who cares?
Yeah,
About
I
what
mean,
you
but
think.
it's the first of many revelations. I think. Well, it's a second.
Yeah, the second of many revelations.
Yeah, pretty good one.
I have one other thing to say about this section, but it's very stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so they're Midtown Bioservices Incorporated. They when they first show up, there's like a big sign, and it says in all caps, like it says Midtown Bioservices Inc. No soliciting, and this is gonna seem like I'm trying to make a stretch, but it felt more like a flash of clarity to me, and less like a stretch. Like I couldn't help but see it when I was staring at the page. I looked at that, and what I saw was, in all caps, Midworld Bioservices Inc. No soliciting. I was just like, this is what you see in the Dark Tower when the lines between the worlds are blurring.
I like
gonna
it.
fall
Yeah.
through the Tadash, or however you
Look,
pronounce that.
it's been confirmed and established many times over that this takes place in the Dark Tower, one level of the tower.
Right, of course.
So, listeners, if you're not familiar, go read up. But I like that. Yeah, you're
Okay,
right.
good. And as I said, I don't think that's reaching. I think that's truth peeking its head through the book.
No, I think KA said that was intentional.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay. Oh, and we do get the revelation when they're all like, "Oh, wait a minute, we spill our blood all the fucking time everywhere we go." That's how they got our blood. We're worrying about doctor's visits. Every time we run into a Hork-Bajir, our blood's on the ground.
So. Yeah. Like that. I guess they still got the animal blood from the doctor's offices to try to like match or some shit. But like, like that's really what they're.
Yeah, which is like not something I thought of, partially because it doesn't make sense.
Right.
But it's at least for that reason it works as a reveal. I didn't see it coming. I wasn't going, you idiots, Mm-hmm. I wasn't one step ahead of the characters, so that's something.
Yeah, that's nice.
I guess.
All right. Are we done with that section? Do you have anything else?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, do they have the fight too? There's some good violent fight parts, but
yeah, there are some good. It is a gory fight. Is this the part, or is it later where Marco's beak gets ripped off? He's a Hork-Bajir, and they rip his mouth off.
That is disgusting. Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah. All some good fight stuff, that kind of thing. Classic.
Okay. All
right. So they fucked up big time, right? they kind of blew it. The Yeerks know that one of them's human. The Yeerks know that they care a lot about it. They left even more blood everywhere. They fucked up big time. They all fly back to the barn, and they're thinking about a couple things. Tobias is thinking about how his mom lives 8 blocks away and never visited him, and he's like, what the fuck? They all know that they're pretty fucked here. Jake is like beating himself up for it. Should have like waited and planned this out instead of just kind of being like, oh, we'll just jump in and infiltrate, which is a classic Animorphs problem. They also are starting to realize at this point back at the barn that this is kind of it. Right, like they have to start thinking now about getting their families out before it is too late. And Tobias is also thinking about Lauren, who is likely going to be bait by now. Jake is like, listen, okay, we fucked this up by rushing in. Let's Let's sleep on it and decide in the morning what we're gonna do. Tobias spends the evening checking out Lauren's neighborhood. It's a really, really shitty neighborhood, even by his standards. He sees Lauren come out of her house. She's blind and has a seeing eye dog named Champ. She's also got really bad scars all over her like face and head, and she's clearly been very badly injured at some point. He watches as Lauren goes to work as a telephone operator at St. Anne's Crisis Center, which I think is implied to be like a suicide hotline type of thing.
Mm.
Anyway, the next morning they all meet up in the barn again, and Mr. King is there, and they all decide, yeah, it's time, we got to get our families out. And Jake also says, I'm taking Tom, right? Like, this is it. I'm taking Tom. We'll starve out the Yerk. We'll rescue our families. So we'll get your families, and then we will do my family last, just in case things go sideways with Tom. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Shit just got real.
Shit
again.
just got real. Another revelation.
Wait, what's the revelation of this one?
Well, I mean, maybe not revelation, but like
that
another
she's blind.
like another major thing, because like they know we're human. Tobias's mom is still here. We're gonna get it. We're like actually gonna pull our families out, right? Like we're done pretending to be normal kids. We're getting our families out. Right.
Pull the trigger.
Huge number of things. Everything that happens in this book is fucking huge. Could have been its own book.
Yes, very true. I mean, this was its own book with Marco's dad.
Yes.
And now they're just like, let's squeeze the rest of them in there.
Yeah, gotta get the rest of them out. Fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, okay, there's a lot going on here.
Yes. Yes.
Before we even, they're not even doing that just yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what about like their cousins and shit?
Yeah.
Like if they have their blood on file, then theoretically they know, if they know who they are, if they know who their immediate families are, they could also go after any extended family.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not trying to go after them.
Yeah, there is some, listen, we're gonna see later on, there's a bit where they kind of make reference to the fact that Rachel's dad is on the other side of the country and they absolutely can't get him out.
Yeah.
So like that there is some level here of just being like, okay, well, you get your immediate family out and fuck it.
Yeah. I guess you got to cut your losses. Like you can't.
Yeah.
You can only do so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough. What about poor Sadler's parents? Sadler, he reminds me of that Rasputin fella from Resident Evil 4.
Right. Yes. Reminds me of that too.
Remember Sadler's famous traits is how Rasputin-like he is with the big beard. You fight him in that barn. Classic Sadler shit. All right. The Lauren stuff. We get to see Lauren.
We do get to see Lauren. We find out a lot about Lauren here.
Yeah, we do. I love that Marco is Axe there too, or just Marco comes with Tobias and is like, I got your back, bro.
Yeah, they both come with, like, Tobias is there on his own, and then they both kind of, or are they there with him here? I thought that was later on they did that.
I'm pretty sure there's something about, yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, you're right. Maybe that doesn't happen. Marco says to him like, I know what you're thinking about.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yeah, because Marco also has been in the situation where he thought his mom was gone, and then he realized that she wasn't, but she was a controller or something.
Yeah. So yeah, Marco doesn't actually go with him yet. This was before he goes to the house, but I thought that was nice. Yeah, that's a great example of a character connection that is logical and feels organic.
Right.
And that some books wouldn't do. And so it's just great to see it here.
Yes.
I guess Lauren does live in a shitty part of town.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really know. I'm not that familiar with the makeup of California outside of my time playing Grand Theft Auto 5, which I think is pretty accurate. But but I guess there's a lot of, there's the ritzy parts of town, and then you got your trailer parks and your whatevers.
Yes.
And
And this is like the super shitty part because like Tobias is like, man, I lived in a shitty part of town, but even I wouldn't have gone over here or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
this is where maybe some people who aren't white live.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Yeah, don't even say such a thing. It's scaring me over here.
The worst part about what's the fuck? I forgot the word. God, I'm such a dumbass. Gentrification. I was gonna make a joke and say, don't you hate when the red-tailed hawks move in and the area's all gentrified? They start building trees and nests. I don't know. Is that a good joke? I don't know. Is that funny?
Not the way you told it.
Sure, but I'm just saying theoretically, is that a good joke?
I don't.
As a mental exercise, like I don't want you to actually laugh. I want you to consider the possibilities of this joke.
I feel like I wouldn't pursue it, but perhaps
Okay,
you
listeners,
could make it work if you did your
let us
best
know.
with it. If you
Let us
tried
know what
really
you think.
hard.
How about Ricky Lee?
I love Ricky Lee.
Ricky Lee is this kid Tobias sees the next door, who at first I thought was Lauren's new son. I thought he was the new Tobias, and it was going to be a thing of, how come you had time for this kid but never for me? That classic thing.
Yeah.
But no, he's just the neighbor kid. He doesn't matter at all.
He does matter though, in that they reference him like 4 more times. Yes. They keep being like, Ricky Lee's house. I saw Ricky Lee's house. They use it as a landmark.
And I guess that's not like Lee is his middle name, or Ricky Lee is his first name. Like that's not his last name.
Names. Yeah.
It's like Ricky Bobby from Talladega Nights. I don't know. Strange.
Yeah. I mean, because that's what the I guess it's his mom calls him. I don't know, but it might not be his mom. I don't know who this lady is.
Yeah, we don't know, but it's supposed to mirror Tobias's home life a little bit.
Yeah. The lady's like, who's gonna watch Tiffany, Ricky Lee? You gotta stay home. And he's like, she's your kid. You watch her. And they're yelling. So Ricky Lee and his maybe younger sister or something, Tiffany.
Yeah. His dog, his daughter, who knows? His wife. I don't know. His child bride.
Who knows? But
his
Ricky
body
Lee's
pillow. Yeah. Ricky Lee is fun. I guess that's is that just supposed to be a classic hick name, Ricky Lee?
I guess. This is a delinquent name. This is what troubled youths are named.
Yeah, that's right. 2 first names is trouble. You better be careful. Yeah. So Lauren is blind.
Yes. Lauren is blind. She has somehow become blind. She's all scarred up and blind.
Now, in this, we will discover this as we go, but at this point in time, I did not remember or know if this was just a coincidence that this all happened to her, or was this part of something the Ellimist had to do when Elfangor left Earth or something that this happened, but they will tell us that later. Yeah,
we'll find out about that, but I'm pretty sure the answer is the Ellimist did it.
Oh, well, that's not explicit, but that's what you think.
It's not explicit at all. No. Yeah, no, when we ended the Ellimist Chronicles, Alan Fangor just kind of got picked up and put back in time, and Ellimist was just like, nope, screw off, see you later. I don't know. It was like a whole thing, but it didn't. I mean, I guess it was actually not a whole thing. It was like nothing, right? Like we didn't really see what the fallout for Lauren was exactly from all of that. And speaking of what age Lauren should be here. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So when the Ellimist Chronicles ends, Lauren is what? Like somewhere in
I guess she is young.
She's I
Is she
don't
like
remember,
17 or
but no,
something?
she's like 14 or 15, and then
Oh
at the
God.
end they reset time to make her 18. They just age her body up to 18 and take when they go back to Earth so that she can get married to Elfangor. That's what she and Elfangor decide to do. So, how
God,
long
I did not
after
remember
they
that.
got there did she have Tobias? Should she be like 35?
Well,
Because
what
Tobias.
year was that? Did that take place? Well, Tobias, wouldn't we know? We know when he was born. Must have been theoretically, if the
Yeah.
series began in '96, and we think Tobias was probably 13, right, in that book.
We're gonna find
Close
out
enough.
timeline wise that in the last book they're like 16. So now they're
Sure.
like they're probably like 16 or maybe 15.
Well, let's just go with just a rough. So let's just say he was 13. Then Tobias would have been born in 1983.
Okay.
So then Lauren was maybe I don't know. Let's say she was 19 in 1980. She had to be at least 18 in 1983. Probably 19 when would be when she would have given birth. Maybe there's another year or two in there, but at her youngest,
Mm-hmm.
she's 19. So let's just say 20 because that's easier to do math with.
Right. This is what I was saying. She's like 35 or 36 because if she was like 20.
Yeah.
But here's the consideration. What if the
I'd say she's more
Ellimist.
like 37 or 38, maybe. But yeah.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, why not? But like, what if the Ellimist undid her their weird time matrix thing and she just jumped back like 3 or 4 years? But Tobias was still around.
Yeah,
And
we
so
don't know
now
how that went down.
because then maybe she could be, because you said at the very oldest the woman in there was her early 30s. So maybe the Ellimist unfucked it up, but made it more fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna pull back on it a little bit because you don't really see her whole face in that inside cover.
Okay.
So she could be anywhere in her early to late 30s, honestly, that in that picture. But I think it's just when you're talking about this kid's mom and you're saying that she's like blind, I'm just picturing an old person.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my
Yeah.
that's just where my brain goes from society's
Right.
influence so
No, that
over
makes
many
sense. And
years.
I think as a kid, I thought that too. But yes, Lauren was a young mother for sure.
Yeah. So kind of sure. Anyway, we
Sure.
spent enough time on that probably.
Yeah, everybody's out here like, maybe I should. They spent too much time on that. Kind of a red flag. Unsubscribe from podcast.
We'll top that before the episode's over. Yeah. Yeah, and so I had a lot of questions about this, but they're not really
Mhm.
worth discussing because we're just gonna find the answers to them.
Right. Yes, that is true. Kind of a cute moment with Rachel and Tobias again here. There's or maybe Rachel trying to have a cute moment and Tobias being Tobias. Uh, there's a bit where Rachel says, stay at my house tonight. You shouldn't be alone. And Tobias is like, why not? I've always been alone. Because he's like
No,
that.
no, 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 no. He said it like this. Why not? I've always been alone.
Yeah, you're probably right. He's fucking
Yeah,
angsting
I
over
loved
there.
it. I liked it. That was cool.
It was good. It was good. I don't know if
And then
cool is the
it
word
says
that I
he
would use.
he had a little cigarette in his wing and he put it to his beak.
I do like with the Lauren thing that they go out of their way to try to be all like, Lauren's such a nice person, she wouldn't even hurt a fly. Flies are God's creatures too, but then why doesn't she love Tobias? It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. That's some good heart-wrenching stuff. You also you skip the other part right after he says that cool line when he says a human boy would have kissed her then.
Mm.
The hawk boy flew out of the hayloft toward the city. That was good. I like that.
I mean, yeah. Listen, this book is well done.
They
Done.
keyed into some good. They keyed into some good stuff.
The fuck happened over there?
A lot of things happened. We don't have time to go into it though.
Yeah. So, okay.
Did you mention Champ?
I did mention Champ. We did get to see Champ. You like Champ?
Yeah, he's a good boy.
All right. So all right. Touch again here on the fact that we're changing everything, right? Because their parents are going to they're going to evacuate their parents. They're done with that. And how this is an enormous moment, right?
Mhm.
So one thing I did a couple things about this. The first one being I do think one of the things we said in the revelation, Marco has the whole thing where they're discovering Z space, and then he has to evacuate his dad, and then they have to rescue his mom. And we were saying this felt very rushed, and the stuff with his mom kind of fell flat because of that. It felt like it should have been multiple books. I'm not sure that I agree here. Like, yes, it would have been better to have multiple books of this kind of stuff than it would to have a bunch of books of nothing. But this book to me doesn't really feel like it's suffering from having too many plots exactly. Like, I think that, like, at no point am I sitting here like, Jesus, we just found out that the Yerks just found out they're human and we're already at the evacuation stage, and we're doing the Lauren thing. We need more time. Like, I didn't really get that sense. And maybe that is because this is a longer book, as you were saying earlier.
Yeah, it's longer. I think it's very well paced. You even have time for these, like we said, these quiet scenes that maybe don't even add anything to
Hmm.
the plot or even the main themes of the book. There actually is room to breathe for once. And yeah, I don't get that feeling either. I mean, part of it is we already saw Marco do the thing with his dad,
Hmm.
so and mom, so now it would feel a little repetitive if we spent too much time on that for all the other characters too.
Hmm.
So we kind of it's kind of fine that we're just like let's just let's get through that, which we're about to get to. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it doesn't yeah, it feels very very natural, this book.
Yeah. And something else that I kind of want to just tee up now, but we'll talk about it more later, is that something that might be on your mind at this point, because I was kind of thinking it rereading this, is um Jake's like entire motivation and plot, right, is freeing Tom. It's culminating in getting his family out and rescuing Tom.
And fucking
And
Rachel.
right. And this is the book where they're all getting their families out. Uh and Jake's like, I'm going to do it. It's time to do it. So, one question that might be on your mind is, why isn't this Jake's book? Why is this Tobias's book? And I don't mean that necessarily as a criticism. I think it's actually like an interesting choice to have done it that way, and not necessarily a bad one. But just as an idea to
I
have.
will yeah,
Yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
mean,
Hmm.
obviously for the Lauren parts, that's why it's a Tobias book. They didn't have
Sure.
to put those together, I guess. But
Right. Yeah.
I will say in the next section, and there were several sections where I honestly forgot that this was a Tobias book because there's so many scenes with every Animorph, and
Hmm.
where it's also the other characters are so central. Like usually in one of these books, if it's a Tobias book, Cassie's not doing shit.
Right.
but
Right.
but it's like no, she's like they're all very important in different scenes. So there were times when I was like that, they weren't just constantly going. And then I took my feathers out of my eye, and Jake did this. I was like, all right, Tobias is in this. I don't know if that's good or bad. It's
Yeah.
just kind of
I
what
mean,
it was.
I don't mind it when we're getting toward the end and things are actually happening. It's nice to kind of have that ensemble cast.
You kind of have to. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's why I like those Megamorphs books. Maybe it would
Yeah.
have been nice to just maybe we should have just started doing the multiple POV thing here. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Maybe. All right. So okay, they're gonna do it. They're gonna start whatever. They're in the barn, and Cassie's parents are home right now. And Cassie's like, "Well, you know what? No time like the present. Let's go do it right now." So they do. They go out to Cassie's parents. There's the whole scene with her parents. Tobias like starts talking to Cassie's mom as a bird. There's some morphing and demorphing and them freaking out. Axe shows up as an Andalite. We've seen this with his dad, but we get to see it with Cassie's parents now, which is fun. There's some of the good like, am I on candid camera type things. That's not an actual reference, but that type of thing. Something's wrong with that bird. He's sick. Stay back. Whatever. All of that. And Cassie's dad also comes out, and they do the whole explanation spiel about the Yerks and blah blah blah, and they got to get out. And there's a war, blah blah blah. They grab the escafil device from Cassie's water pump, I guess, and Cassie and Marco both hop into her dad's truck with her parents, and they take off. Right. Next up is Rachel, and Rachel is like, my mom is a dumbass lawyer, so like you can't reason with her, like she'll just win the argument even if she's wrong, so we're just gonna go in and take her. So they go into the house. Rachel's just a straight up bear when they go in. Sarah and Jordan are happy to come along because they love Axe, but Rachel just kind of like grabs her mom, and they all drive off too. And Rachel can, defend them by herself, so she goes with them, leaving Axe, Tobias, and Jake for the last bit, which is to go off and get Jake's family. So let's pause for a moment and talk about these scenes, because they're pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun. This feels like an 80s movie to me. This feels like when, the kid tells his parents that there's an alien living in his basement. It's like, Mom, I gotta show you something. There's a Glock here, That's fun.
Yeah. People are so stupid. Because, it's like, why is there so much appeal? Because there is, right? There is. Why is there so much appeal to a scene where a character, like, some character finds out about something you already know? Like, I know this, and the main character knows this, but now they're going to tell this other character, and I get to see them find out. Why is that so good? It's good.
I mean, that's like the entire basis of why the good parts of Dexter are good. It's because or Breaking Bad is a better, any of those. There's like 18 shows from the 2000s about problematic men who do secret crimes. And all of them, the fun part is going, oh, their wife's going to find out. Oh my God, what's going to happen? I mean, that's what I said about, I've brought it up on this show. Maybe it was in this regard. Maybe it was for the Marcos episode, but yeah, they have a lot of secrets in this book, and it's fun. You want to see those secrets get revealed. Yeah. It's good. It's juicy.
I was kind of thinking it's sort of like you get to, it's like vicariously explaining the plot of something you love to your friend who's not interested in it at all, except that these characters have to care and be interested because they're in the world, and also it's important.
Yeah, that's what it is. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel vindicated, justified in liking your thing. Yeah, listen up, Cassie's mom. There's Animorphs. They turn into birds and shit. Isn't that cool?
It's cool.
I wish my mom would tell me it was cool, but she won't. She thinks I suck.
Do you really think that they had to grab Rachel's mom, that they couldn't have convinced her? Or do you think Rachel's just a psycho and didn't want to deal with it?
Call him A, call him B. All
right.
Cassie's mom sexually assaults Axe. I mean, she does. Just as Marco's dad sexually assaulted Eric King.
That is true.
That's par for the course. If you reveal your Animorph secret to your parents, they will assault someone. That's just their first instinct.
Stroking his rump like he's a horse.
Yeah, and then it's kind of weird. Cassie's like, Mom, would you play with Jake's butt? Like, it was kind of weird. It made me uncomfortable.
Quit playing with axes.
Yeah, a bit gross.
Yeah. I didn't like the part where Cassie's parents saw Axe and they're like, I knew those high voltage power lines would have an impact on the wildlife. Get behind me. It could be radioactive, which like that sounds like some 5G conspiracy nonsense. Like, I don't think Cassie's parents are that type of environmentalist.
Or that's like for a boomer, like you're still thinking about Chernobyl and you're afraid Russia's gonna drop a radioactive bomb on you or something.
I mean, I guess her parents are boomers and, probably grew up on fucking them and those kinds of, but like they're literally animal scientists. Like, they're not, they might be all like, yeah, the power lines are bad, but they're not going to say, like, they're bad because they're going to mutate it into a weird blue radioactive, like, come on.
I mean, is that better or worse than Cassie's mom going, "A bird's talking to me? I knew I shouldn't have switched to this new brand of coffee."
I honestly can handle that one more because like that's just like a regular dumb tongue-in-cheek joke and not like a very specific kind of like wacko conspiracy nonsense that is like antithetical to her parents. Like her parents are weird lame boomers, so like it makes sense they'd make a coffee joke.
Oh, it should be alcohol, but they just couldn't do that in a kid's book.
That's true. That's true.
Should have been, I knew I shouldn't have started drinking at 7 a.m. That's more Tobias's aunt and uncle. I did, at this point I was going, are we really going to get like 4 scenes of the Animorphs revealing themselves to different sets of parents? Then I realized, there's only Tobias doesn't have any, Axe doesn't have any. We already did Marco. So we're kind of almost done.
Yeah, there's only 3 of them to do here, really.
Yeah, so it's not that complicated, but it is crazy how much they have to fit in, and still, like we said, doesn't feel too crammed.
Yeah.
We also get pretty much, I think, every named Chi makes an appearance.
Yeah, Mr. King, Lords, Eric, they're all here.
Those are the gang's all here. My favorites, Lords and Mr. King.
What about Chi Lon or whatever from the very first book? It never showed up again.
Don't remember that one. Sorry.
Or something
Fuck
like
Mr.
that.
King. I still don't like Mr. King. Who, in my notes, 2 times I accidentally wrote Mr. Chi. That's how little I give a shit about him.
Mr. Chi, who we do find out was Louis Pasteur's lab assistant.
Oh my god.
Despite still not being able to help with surgery. Also, I can't help but notice that he suggested using heat to kill bacteria, so I guess he's allowed to kill bacteria. Where's the line on that, I wonder?
Great point. Excellent point. Yeah, he should hate seeing people wash their hands. Put that soap away. It's a biological weapon. That's why the Chi smell like shit. They're biologically unable to shower. I know they're robots. Whatever.
This is also, so according to Seropedia, this is where Cassie's dad is revealed to be named Walter, but I swear he was called Walter before in these books.
Couldn't tell you. Dunno. Sure. I believe you.
I don't know. Whatever.
I believe you.
They're Walter and Michelle.
That's nice. Do we know all of their parents' names?
Maybe?
At this point?
I don't remember most of them.
Yeah, I don't either.
We haven't really talked about Rachel's family here
yet.
yet.
Yeah.
Some great stuff happens there, too.
Yeah. I mean, poor Rachel's dad, not involved.
Yeah. But that is kind of upsetting when, like, Jordan and Sarah are like, what about dad? And Rachel's like, don't worry, I'll tell him. It's like, no, she isn't gonna. No, they aren't. How the hell are they gonna do that?
Yeah.
Maybe they do and I just forgot. I don't remember, but.
I don't know. But it's always nice to see. I like Rachel's family. We haven't seen them in a while.
Mm-hmm. I love how much Sarah and Jordan love Axe. They're like giggling over him and riding on him.
Yes. Yeah, he's like a pony.
Their internet fangirls love Andalitzing him.
They want to brush him and braid his hair. I mean, wouldn't you? You'd love Axe.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah,
everyone loves Axe.
Pat his rump.
What about the part where Rachel thought speaks at her mom and her mom's like, Rachel, did the bear eat you? Are you inside the bear?
Did kind of make me think, maybe we should watch Brave for the Patreon.
Some Little Red Riding Hood stuff there.
Yeah, that too. All right.
I mean, that's basically, other than just like Tobias's mom hang-ups here, where he's like, both sets of moms like jump in front of the kids to protect them. And he's like, oh yeah, that's what moms are supposed to do.
That's nice. That's sweet.
I forgot that that's what moms were supposed to do because I never had a mom.
Yeah. I feel like you're being flippant.
Yeah, of course. I am being.
Poor Tobias.
Yeah.
Poor Tobias.
All right.
He misses his mommy.
All right. Great scenes. Fun scenes. They're going to go off and rescue Jake's family now. All right, so the plan is to like run in and grab Tom before anyone can react, and they're like, "Yeah, my parents will come if we just like kidnap Tom. They'll come. We can figure it out from there." So they're sitting around waiting for Jake's family to get back, because they're supposedly out buying a new lawnmower, but it's taking a long time, and they're starting to get suspicious. And they're like, "Why would Tom agree to go out and buy a lawnmower with like? This is such a critical time." So Tobias goes out to scout, and he sees them coming back, but he's like, "Oh shit, they're Jake, your family is being followed by two black SUVs. This is a trap. We got to get out." It turns out Jake's parents have already been infested. They are too late, and his mom pulls out a Dracon beam and starts shooting at Tobias. Um, his family pulls into the driveway, and they're like, "Shit, we failed. We got to retreat." And Jake intentionally morphs into a bird, like in full view of them as like a symbolic thing, and then they fly away while getting shot at. So, all right, so they fucked up Jake.
Imagine if the Animorphs were going to attend it's the year 2000, I don't know, let's just say an Alanis Morissette concert,
Uh-huh.
and the controllers found a ripped receipt of the tickets to the concert, and they
Uh-huh.
set a trap to find them at
Right.
the
Yeah.
concert.
I like that you picked Alanis Morissette because, you know, Jake's the one who's been primarily motivated by his family the whole time, and he's the one who didn't get them out. And isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
I really do think.
Yeah. So I think that was a good choice of concert that this trap could have happened at.
It is a bit of a shame. We're kind of robbed here of the scene we were just talking about,
Hmm.
of seeing Tom have the discovery that his brother's an Animorph,
Hmm.
that
That's
we've
true.
kind of been teasing the entire series.
That is true, and that is really kind of too bad because, like, you don't need Jake's point of view to do that, right? Like, we just don't
Mm,
really see Tom here, and we could, you know?
yeah. In a way, I mean, maybe that's a little bit too. Maybe you just know how that would go, and you
Hmm.
don't need to see it, and it is a little more surprising and interesting that it's just, nah, they're just fucked, 'cause, which I like, because we have two scenes of everything kind of goes
Hmm.
perfectly,
Yeah.
and then it's like, oh, well, this is the big one, but now there's still. We're not out of those woods yet. We don't just have Tom and everyone's happy and we'll starve the Yerk and blah, blah, blah. There's still something dangling. There's still some real stakes here for Jake.
Yeah. And it's pretty big. Like, this is a big shift for Jake, right? Like, because, like, this has been, Jake's two arcs throughout this whole series are him grappling with his leadership position and him wanting to rescue Tom. And, like, at this point, like, they have to, he's no longer living with Tom. He no longer has regular access to Tom. He just has to retreat, right? There is no rescuing Tom outside of, like, beating the Yerks at this point. And it's not just Tom, it's the rest of his family. So he's kind of just, like, completely failed at, like, he's just totally fucked on, like, his primary motivating arc throughout the book at this point. And he does spend this time, on the like leadership thing, basically saying, "This is my fault for making these decisions badly," right? At the beginning, we should have taken our time and planned out that infiltration instead of just running in. And then afterwards, we should have just run in and gotten our families instead of taking the time to think it over and waiting till the next morning. I fucked it up. I fucked everything up and I lost my family because of it. This is a huge deal for Jake, I think.
Yeah. It's pretty harsh. It's pretty upsetting.
Hmm.
Can I ask, is the next book a Jake book? Is there a
Uh,
Jake book coming up?
the
When's
next
the
book
next Jake?
Then the next Jake book is right before the end. It's the last one before
Uh,
the end. But the next one
oh
is a
well.
Cassie book. So that's related to a
Hmm.
Jake book.
Yeah. 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 Because I'm like, that's the perspective I really want to see right now.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
and
it's rough.
that's
It's
kind of what
rough.
I was saying earlier, is that is a question you have to ask here is Like, this scene, you would think, whether he succeeds or fails at this, you would think it would have been from his perspective when this happens.
Yeah.
But we see
Yeah.
it from Tobias instead.
There's no time for that anymore. Like, they must have decided this is how many books we have left.
Yeah.
We
And
need this stuff to happen.
I do think it's interesting because they do some stuff at the end that I think kind of makes it at least an interesting way to have done it, as opposed to just outright wrong.
At the end of the whole book, you mean?
Like, yeah, at the end of the whole book. But yeah, I mean, like that is a thing, right?
Yeah, something that I do like that this being from Tobias's perspective that you get to add a little bit. It kind of it made me think back to Megamorphs 4 when you in the before times when you got this perspective of Tobias pre-Animorphs who sort of idolizes Jake and sort of looks up to him as like this perfect kid. And you see a little bit of that here too, where he's talking about how Jake is like the perfect all-American nuclear family boy. Maybe that's later he says that, but there's a little bit of it here too.
Yeah.
I thought that was a good perspective, and again, a window into how these characters view each other that you don't always get.
Yeah.
So that's something.
And Tobias does have some kind of ominous reflecting here, where he says, like, how the hell did Jake stay in control as a leader, right? Like, it's so chaotic. I can't make decisions. I would have folded under the pressure. Jake always does it. How does he do it? Well, Tobias is reflecting on it, and he's like, I think it's because he always had that goal of protecting his family in mind. So there is a little bit of thought here that, like, Jake lost that. What does that mean for the future here? So it's good.
Good moment when Jake transforms right in front of him.
That's a great moment.
Yeah. Pretty cool. He's like, I want them to see this.
Yeah, that would have worked better visually, in part because, like you said, wouldn't it have been great to not just have him transform in front of them and say, I want them to see this? Wouldn't it have been great to see, like, Tom's Yerk's face and his parents' faces or whatever? Just to have that reaction, because we don't, as you said, really have their reaction to it in any way.
Yeah.
Which is too bad.
I'm assuming / hoping we will talk to Tom at some point before the series is over. Like, we will get not that scene, but at least some thoughts from him and or his Yerk and Jake's parents. So
there'll be more Tom.
I'm assuming we'll get.
Yeah.
He's not gone forever at the end.
Which is, with this series, it's a real possibility that maybe we just don't see Tom again until the very end of the series, like when it wraps up and he just doesn't matter and isn't important. That was a possibility. There is more Tom. Don't worry.
I love that when Jake is packing for his family to leave to the Hork-Bajir Valley, some of the things he takes, okay, his mom's laptop. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, do they have power outlets in the Hork-Bajir Valley? I guess Axe can whip up a generator or something.
Yeah,
maybe,
Marco's stealing power banks or some shit.
Sure. He also takes his dad's golf clubs and Tom's basketball.
Some of
that's what's important.
Some of that does feel very like the cracks in Jake's facade, right? Like, that's his naive little kid brain, like, where he's like, what I'm looking to do is save a sense of normalcy at home or something. Like, I need, like, what does my family need to be the all-American normal family? That's what I'm trying to bring with me or something, which wouldn't have happened even if he did get him out.
Right.
Maybe I'm thinking too hard about it.
No, I think that's great. I think that's beautiful.
Okay. So here's the thing. So fucking much happens in this book that it would be very reasonable if it were over and this was the end. We're around 60 to 70% of the way through page-wise, I think.
It's time for what's the plot of this book. I mean, we've said the plot of this book, but this is like the actual plot. plot.
2 hours.
I mean, we started
the plot.
We know it's about Lauren, but this is where that actually culminates here.
Yeah. Okay. So Tobias hasn't given up on getting Lauren out, even though, it's too late for Jake's family and they've known about Lauren the longest. He hasn't given up. So he's flying around her house, kind of surveilling again. He sees the Yerks watching her. He sees, like, there's some bag lady and whatever, like, they're all watching out for Animorphs. And this is the part where Marco and Axe show up, because apparently Jake was like, Tobias is going to be out there, go back him up. And they figure that
The dream team, I call them.
The dream, yeah, sure, why not? They are I think you have called them that. I think you're not even lying.
Yeah, that's right.
They figure out, they're like, okay, Champ the dog is the key to this, right? So
Champ is the key to everything.
it's like Jar Jar, right?
Yeah.
So they go human and follow Lauren into the 7-Eleven, and they pretend to be hoodlums, and they kind of like start harassing her as a pretense to grab Champ away, and they like take Champ to a back room, and Tobias acquires and morphs into him, and then he comes back out and switches place with Champ, and he leads Lauren back to her house. And we could keep going, but I do feel like there's a lot of stupid fun stuff to talk about here, and the next part's pretty important, so maybe I will just stop for a moment, because this store scene is really good.
Yeah, honestly, I don't have that many specifics to say on it other than this plan is ridiculous.
Yes.
I'm actually a little unclear. They're just looking like themselves, like Axe is in his human morph.
Yeah, they just go turn into themselves and walk in, I think.
Don't they, like, it's under surveillance, don't they think maybe the controllers know what they look like at this point?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
not
modern
really sure.
day, you would say, well, of course, but, maybe back when you're writing this in 2000, you're like, well, they just know their names. They don't, not every Yerk has their picture on file.
It's not like they have the access to a school yearbook or anything like that. That would be absurd.
Yeah, but like, nowadays, it's like, of course they would just have the image, but like, I can imagine maybe a 2000s writer just doesn't imagine that the aliens have the tech to send that information to everybody immediately. They just doesn't occur to them.
Okay, fine.
I
don't
at
least
know.
Wear bandanas or hoods or something.
I mean, you're right. They could have morphed Ricky Lee.
Yeah, that's what we want to see. But I mean, the plan is ridiculous, but it's in a funny way. The juvenile delinquent Axe is hilarious.
Yeah, I love everything that he says. I'm pretty sure this is how delinquent teen Andalites back on the Andalite homeworld, or whatever Kay Applegate fucking said it was in her AM. Fucking fuck you. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're all like that. This is just, I have all his lines here.
Yeah.
It says, do not worry. We are irresponsible teenage hoodlums, possibly gang members, but you are not in any danger. He then later says to Lauren, you do not know me, but I am a juvenile delinquent. I do not trust authority figures. I probably will not graduate from high school, and statistics say my present rowdiness and vandalism will likely lead to more serious crimes. I am a dangerous fellow, and I am causing mayhem in this store. At which point he rearranges some stuff and says, I have shamelessly destroyed the symmetry of this shelf, undoing hours of labor by underpaid store employees. If you could see me, you would be frightened.
It's fantastic.
It's great. I love it.
Fantastic. Of course, I'm sure he learned a lot of this behavior from The Young and the Restless.
Yes. Yeah, I'm surprised he did not say that he was feeling very restless and was also quite young.
Yeah. I don't know. Lauren seems awfully calm during this whole section, during which the hoodlums say, we're going to kidnap your dog.
Yeah.
They do so for about 5 minutes, then return the dog, and they're like, here's your dog back. And Lauren is just kind of like, all right, I'll keep shopping and go home. Like, she doesn't seem fazed by this, really.
Yeah, I don't know if you're supposed to just take it as like, she gets harassed all the time because she's blind, but she knows Champ can take care of himself, and it's better to just not deal with it. But it doesn't come off that way. It does kind of come off like she's just kind of standing there.
Yeah,
Whatever.
It feels like they forgot, like she's an NPC. They forgot to write dialogue or thoughts for her.
Right. Yeah, no,
it's kind of strange.
Yeah, you go up to the NPC and you just start like shooting them, and they don't react because they weren't programmed to do that.
Yeah. Is this when also when she starts she starts petting Champ and kissing on him?
There is a part there. I figured I might talk about it in the next part, but yes, okay. She does do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
th-
just I just wasn't I'm just worried it might awaken something in me, that's all.
yeah. If mommy were to come and give you some pets,
Yeah, I was a good boy.
yeah, yeah, I get it. What about the part where Tobias, as Champ, sniffs Marco's bare feet and calls
Oh
them
man.
spicy and pungent?
Woo!
Just a thought.
Nice.
That was the part that was
Yeah,
there.
that's pretty good. I
Yeah.
wish he'd smell Rachel's bare feet. You know what I'm talking about?
Now, okay.
No, listen,
Now,
listen,
no,
Bear feet. Her
because
bare
these
feet.
are they're children.
I'm s-
That bear is a minor.
no, 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 no. When she's a grizzly bear, that's an adult bear. That's how you get the fanfics going. It's a loophole for you. Okay,
Listen,
we better
listen.
move on.
I
We
might
better
be into
move on.
animals, but that's a child. Don't be disgusting.
But it's okay. It's okay when it's Marco's feet.
Well, I mean, Tobias did that, not me. I didn't do that. Tobias did
Right.
it in the book. I didn't even make
Right.
that up. That's just how it happened, how it went down.
Right. Right.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
all right. So let's continue. So
It's okay. No, you know what? I won't. You're right. You're right. You go.
we already had a long discussion trying to figure out exactly how old Lauren was when she was around 18. We really can't push it any farther this episode. It's not going to be good.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
So okay, so Tobias, okay, he takes Lauren back to her house. As you said, she's like petting on him. Um, so he's smelling around her house as Champ to see if he can find like a portable Candrona or anything. He doesn't find anything. He morphs into a human, knowing that Lauren's blind anyway, I guess, and snoops around her house. He finds a letter from an insurance company which reveals that Lauren was in a car crash. So, because of this car crash, not only is she blind, but she also suffered major brain damage and total loss of memory, right? She has amnesia and she doesn't remember Tobias at all. Tobias stays the night in her house, and in the morning, he is waiting for her in the kitchen as a human boy. Lauren comes down and he's like, "Hi, it's me, Tobias, your son. I tracked you down." And she's like, "Well, I'd wondered if you would ever show up here." Um, they have a conversation. We find out, as I said, she doesn't remember him. They like brought her a baby after the accident and said it was hers. And she was like, "I don't remember this baby." She had to fully relearn how to live her life from scratch. And plus, she kept getting these visions of aliens. And so she had to deal with being like crazy too. And she figured she could not take care of Tobias. She wasn't capable of it. So she left him with her sister and went off on her own to get treatment. And she admits here that even after she'd been like reestablished her life, she did not really try hard enough to track him down. She's like, "Oh, you didn't need some crazy old blind woman in your life, whatever. You had a life." It's I whatever. We'll talk about it. And Tobias is like, "Listen, look, doesn't none of this matters. The thing that matters is that all those aliens that you were hallucinating were actually real, and they're coming to get you. So like don't tell anyone about me and stay inside for 2 more days and then like go out to the park and we're gonna get you out of here." Which is
Simple
probably
plan.
not what she expected to hear.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm. Okay. So I
Okay.
mean, I guess let's talk about this amnesia thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, it was a car accident.
Yes.
I guess I'm sort of agreeing with you that it probably has to be the Elemist, or else it's just too coincidental that
Yeah.
because they
I-
must have like
I
part
feel-
of the deal would be that she doesn't remember it, right? Isn't that just part of the deal?
Yeah, I was pretty sure. I was like, I have to go back and check, but I was pretty sure that at the end of Andalite Chronicles, the Elemist said like she wasn't going to remember Elfangor or something. So it does feel like Elemist crashed a car into her.
yeah, what the fuck? Can't you? Couldn't he just wipe her memory? Like, does he not have the power to do that? He has to put her in a car accident?
I mean, he does, but that's just not how Ellimist plays the game.
It's so fucked up.
Listen, Tumen is a minimalist, right? He can't just like put his finger in and wipe her brain, right? He's got to make a much smaller change that results in a car accident.
And the exact perfect type of car accident that will just erase your memory, but you're alive still. That's how it works.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
Cool.
how Tumen plays.
Fucking United States healthcare, though. Am I right?
Yeah, sure.
Well, he finds this, she has like outstanding bills for her hospital stuff and, the insurance company and all this stuff. It was like, they couldn't, your claims of total amnesia cannot be proven and reconstructive surgery is not covered under your group policy. Fuck you.
Yeah, sure.
Fuck off.
Makes sense. Yeah, you're right. I hadn't even really thought about the rest of like what was in that letter, but you're right.
Yeah. Come on. I'm right. We're a progressive show. We talk about shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
That's sort of our gimmick. It's like Animorphs through a progressive leftist lens.
I'm pretty sure that's literally every single other Animorphs podcast.
Oh, right. We're the ones who make jokes about problematic stuff.
Right. We're the right-wing grifters trying to...
Right.
I think we're doing a really bad job capturing that audience.
What about this? A red hat, a red MAGA hat that underneath says, "Make Animorphs great again."
Whoa. Okay. Yeah, now you're onto something. You can change our logo to that. This is really the easiest audience to capture in the world. We kind of suck that we haven't really done
Why
that.
haven't we been able to capitalize on the extremely lucrative red hat Animorphs fan audience? Right. all those people voting for Trump and carrying a copy of The Unexpected in their arm at the polls. Anyway. Tobias is drinking coffee in this scene. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, he loves coffee.
Since when? His human body is 13 years old. He doesn't love coffee.
Well, he's older now, because otherwise Rachel would be a creep.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you, whatever the book says, the morphs don't age. So his human body is 13.
You're right, but, then Rachel would be a creep.
Well, she already wants to fuck Jake, so she's a creep from 100 different ways, okay? And a bird, by the way. And a bird.
Bad. This isn't good. We need...
I didn't say
I think it's your
minors
fault, personally.
Together. I'm not the one making it happen.
You're the one.
This is the text of the book.
All of it.
K.A. Applegate wrote this. I didn't say that that's a thing. She said that. Anyway, no, I'm not done. This is our first reference in a long time. It's very important now that Tobias is blonde. Toe-headed, as they say.
Yeah, what the hell does that actually mean? I don't know what that means.
It means blonde. I don't know what the origin of it is, but it means blonde.
That's stupid.
Yes.
They should have just said blonde.
Classic blonde Tobias, as we all know. Now and forever, a little blonde boy.
I think Lauren has always been blonde, but that doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah. Well, How now? Okay, so we find out again. Lauren's been living 3 blocks away from Tobias his whole life.
I think it's 8, but
whatever. Shut the fuck up. What are you, Steven? Anyway, what are you, a Seropedia editor? Anyway, no, then you would have got it wrong. But Tobias was raised by his aunt and uncle, who are his mom's real brother and sister, right?
Yeah.
Or not brother and sister.
Well,
they're not brother and sister. I mean, maybe. I don't know. They're not.
That's true. Yeah, what? I guess because I think she says her sister, so I think the aunt is how he's related.
So they never, does she know that Lauren lives there? and she's just hiding it from Tobias?
I
Like, wouldn't she
guess.
be aware that her sister got in a severe car crash? Or
Yeah, I mean, I do think that she's a shithead. I do think that like that is part of the text that she's all like,
yeah.
yeah, she's a crazy wacko alien lady. Like, fuck it, who cares? And she doesn't even care about you. Fuck off, who cares? And just isn't like doesn't care, right? And
Real
isn't
Petunia Dursley vibes.
right. Exactly. I do think that it's kind of funny that Lauren is out here like, yeah, I mean, I gave you to my sister and I never came by again because I figured she'd probably do a better job with you than I could. After all, I'm like blind and in recovery and have my crazy weird issues. So I guess she forgot that her sister's a bitch. I don't know.
Yeah, and her sister also agreed to raise this kid.
Hmm.
So that's it's a bit weird. Like, if she's such a shitty guardian and doesn't care about Tobias, why'd she even take him in the first place?
Yeah. Yeah, like maybe there's she's more judgmental of Lauren than she is caring of Tobias, and that's why I don't know. I don't know. Um yeah, I do wish we'd had any indication in Andalite Chronicles that her family might suck in some way, but we kind of don't really, I guess. Um
Mm.
I mean I do like the idea of Lauren kind of deluding herself into thinking it's a good idea to stay out of Tobias's life through like some like lack of self-esteem or maybe just not wanting to take personal responsibility for it or something or other and kind of deluding herself into thinking, yeah, it's okay that this is better for him anyway. I liked that angle here. Um and I do like the way that it's handled here where Tobias doesn't accept that because he shouldn't. Um, I
Hmm.
don't. I don't know that we see it explored as thoroughly as we need to, given that this is the last Tobias book. But like, I do like that it's here.
Yeah, it's still it's sweet to see him with his mom.
Hmm.
It's it's kind of honestly an aspect of Tobias that is not one I felt like I wasn't waiting to see this the way I was waiting to see Marco deal
Hmm.
with his mom. Even though Lauren was introduced, she just came and went so quickly.
Hmm.
I don't know. That's not really a criticism. Like, it doesn't feel like it comes out of nowhere. It doesn't feel like it doesn't fit with Tobias's story, but it is interesting that it's not really something I was consciously wondering about. But now
Hmm.
that it's here, it does kind of feel like, oh, this is Tobias's way to a happy ending, is to have a family now instead of just
Yeah.
I just assumed he would just be a bird forever. But I maybe now
Right.
war ends, he has a mom, he can actually have a life. It's kind of
Yeah.
nice.
That's true. And this is kind of like I think they even reference it here, but this is an like a pretty decent follow up to book 23 in the same way that book 48 was a good follow up to book 22. Um because in that book we do see Tobias, that is the book in which up until that point he's coping with being a bird and then he's coping with being able to be a boy again, blah blah blah. But that is the book where he has to cope with the idea that maybe he could have a normal life, right? It's like he's kind of come to terms with being a bird and then his cousin shows up who's actually Visser 3 and she's like, I'm going to adopt you, and he's like, oh shit.
Visser 1, you mean?
Well, at the time Visser 3.
Sure, but that's dead naming.
But Tobias is, it's like it's different now because maybe I could actually have a home, and he kind of has to cope with that, and he kind of has to like take that loss when he realizes that she's not his real family. And so, but that's also where he discovers about Elfangor. So that's where like this ties nicely into that, this idea that like he might have a longing for an actual familial connection in a way that he had kind of given up on. Maybe even as a boy, he had given up on it, right? Where he's just like, fuck it, my aunt and uncle. I fantasize about my parents coming back for me one day, but I know it's a fantasy. And then it's like, it's like, holy shit, here's my actual opportunity to do it. It is touching when she's petting him as a dog, and he's like, this is the love that I always wanted to have as a mother, but I can only have it when I'm her dog.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I
later he's jealous of the dog too.
Yeah, I mean there is I do it's not actually bad. I do like the way in this book that you see more of a connection between from Lauren to Champ than from Lauren to Tobias. Right? It's like it's almost like he's too new for her to really experience as her son. I
Yeah.
think that's good and I think that's tragic and I like that. Um
Yeah.
as
I
like a
agree.
thing that happens here. But yeah, unfortunately, if you do just go straight from 23 to here, you miss out on the Taylor stuff. And, you know, for Tobias's arc, you probably could cut the Taylor stuff, but then you wouldn't have Taylor and you could be doing interesting stuff with her. So I don't know, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's keep
Um,
going.
all right. Let's get this finished off here because
Yeah. We're almost
okay,
done.
we're almost done. All right. Um, so back at the Harpagir Valley, Tobias is like, Jake, I can get her out. You know, he's like, I don't think she's a controller, because of the way, you know, she didn't have a thing, portable Kandrona, the way she talked. And also, I think that they probably wouldn't take her because she's blind and they wouldn't want to blind, uh, whatever, the Yerks are
Mm.
ableist. It's a huge risk, but Jake is, I guess, willing to trust him after Tobias kind of invokes Tom and is like, "You would do it for Tom." Blah blah blah. There's some stuff here about how the parents and Animorphs are fitting into the Hork-Bajir Valley, but I'd kind of rather wait to the end because there's some another kind of
Mm.
huge thing happens here, and there's more of that at the end too. If you don't mind, I don't know.
Okay. I mean, I mind a little, but okay, I'll go along
I
with
mean,
it.
do you want to? Because otherwise, I feel like maybe
No,
we just
no.
stop and do it right now.
No. Let's do what you want to do.
Whatever, we'll figure it out. All right. Okay. So Lauren walks out to the park like they planned. Tobias swaps with Champ in a tunnel while the surveillance can't see them, with Marco, Axe, and Rachel on backup, right? Um, Tobias and Lauren make it back to her house, but the Yerks are getting suspicious, and Axe and Marco are like, dude, you got to get out. They're surrounding the place, blah, blah, blah. Tobias demorphs and lets Lauren know what's up, tells her about the Yerks and blah, 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 and about morphing. And then, huge deal, he gives her the Escafil device and gives her morphing powers. And he has Lauren acquire him and morph into a hawk. So she's kind of freaking out both from like the body horror and the fact that all of a sudden she can see again, but like no time for that. They got to move because like helicopters are overhead, the police are like surrounding the area. Granny controller is back. Um they fly out of the house with everybody just like shooting the fuck out of the sky. There's a helicopter following around. There's the chase continues like through a shopping center warehouse. It gets crazy. Marco and Rachel and Axe are all fighting. Knowing that they can't get away from the helicopter, Tobias goes out and starts like crazily flying it around. And somehow, I'm not quite sure how this works. Somehow he lures them into going too low to the ground and crashing. But in the process, Lauren has to like dive in front of him and take a Dracon beam, and she almost dies. And she has to like morph back to herself and then back to Hawk in order to survive. But they get away. In the end, they get away. They're after this massive, crazy long scene. Um, but okay, there's a couple things here that are worth bringing up. Number one,
Okay.
of course, is the implication of just granting her the morphing technology, right? This is kind of a big deal.
Yeah, they don't really tell you that they're doing that until it happens. It's a bit of a
No.
reveal.
No, like Tobias is like, I looked at Jake and then Jake knew what I was planning and he was like, it's a huge risk, but okay. And they don't talk about it.
I mean, yeah, it's a bit ridiculous because I feel like I came up with a much better plan
Uh-huh.
without thinking about it. I mean, it's what I assumed they were doing, which is while she's in the tunnel, Rachel acquires Lauren and
Mhm.
morphs her, and then she goes home with Tobias as Champ. Real Lauren and Champ get in a car or something, or just hide in the tunnel until the coast is clear, and then they just turn into bugs and fly away, and you're done.
It is a better plan.
It's way better. Unless they thought like we don't have enough time for her to morph in the tunnel, like they would get suspicious. I don't know, but Like, that's better than we just let her morph and figure out how to be a bird in the span of 25 seconds. It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
It's very, and even aside from giving another person morphing powers, which we know is extremely risky, you have the cube out in the open here.
Mm-hmm.
The Yeerks could potentially steal it. That's even more dangerous.
Yeah.
It's a terrible plan. It's a bad plan. Which is classic Animorphs too. But I do at least like, or am interested in the implications of them curing Lauren's blindness.
Yes, I think that is definitely interesting because like when she morphs, right, the blindness that's an injury, so that is cured. She is not blind anymore, which that is interesting. That's fun. There are some questions. Like I have seen people bring this up before. Like, is this kind of problematic from a representation standpoint? We bring in a blind character, and you're like, oh, a blind character, interesting. And then you immediately cure her blindness. Right? It almost feels like she was just blind so that she could have a seeing eye dog.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
like it's not necessarily, I mean, it's similar to like the Andalites thing where it's like, listen, the way in which it's represented is like good and not bad, but like the actual representation of the thing kind of sucks.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that angle a little bit, but I don't really think.
Yeah.
Again, it was an accident that occurred to her. Like, what is she gonna be like? No, I prefer being blind. Don't give me my sight back. Like, of course, and I know I'm probably walking on dangerous ground because I know at least in the deaf community there is there's a thing where they don't like to talk about it as a a detriment, that it's like, this is who we are and we're fine this way. I don't know if that's a thing in the blind community or not.
I mean, here's the problem. You got to be really careful about this because
they can hear this.
I was going to say the blind community are listening to our podcast in order to get the plot of the book because they can't read it. What I'm saying isn't problematic, but you're walking on eggshells over there.
There's no Braille Animorphs? You must be able to do that.
Yeah, you're probably right. There are the audiobooks too.
Right. But anyway, yeah, it doesn't. I sort of see where you're coming from, but it's like you invented this technology and it works this way. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you don't have to morph. Even if you didn't do the morphing thing here, I feel like at some point that conversation's going to come up.
Yeah, I think that is true. And this is not something that I'm saying like, oh, this is terrible. I'm just saying like this is a perspective to think about it from, because I'm certain that Kay Applegate was not thinking about it from this perspective when she's writing it in 2000 or outlining it in 2000. Because like I said, like nothing in the portrayal is problematic. The only problematic aspect would be the representation, would be a blind person who's reading the story and saying, oh, hey, a blind character, except like she's actually doing all this stuff. Hey, she can morph. Okay, sure, blah, blah, blah. Oh, she's just not blind anymore. Oh, why did they even make her blind in the first place? What, just to have the dog? Like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like, is that using it as a prop in a sense? But not necessarily. I don't think this is terrible. The dog. But it is great to have the dog.
It's like, well, that was good. It worked for the plot. Like, I'm okay with. I mean, again, I'm not a blind person, but
right.
For story reasons, I'm fine with if that was just the device. Personally, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really bother me, but I do think it's worth thinking about at least.
Sure. Well, they get to. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know what they want. I mean, it's different if. Like that they were born with the blindness, presumably it would not change.
Right, yeah.
But, yeah, we already know Lauren was sighted previously, so I don't know. What can you do? It is what it is.
It is what it is.
This whole action scene, it's like in a toy store, a mall, it's a little incomprehensible.
It is pretty incomprehensible. It's up there. Listen, this is a classic Animorphs book. Um,
Yeah.
now, I have a little bit of trivia here. This is a thing that apparently Lisa Harkrader said about this. She says, near the end of the book, when they charge through the toy store, Marco the gorilla jumps on a scooter and flies through the store. When I wrote the book, those little razor scooters hadn't jumped onto the scene yet. I was thinking of the old scooters you'd see in Leave It to Beaver or Little Rascals, and I imagined this scooter in the toy store being totally retro. But by the time the book was published, razor scooters were the big rage. So it turned out that I was almost cutting edge. It's one of the few times in my writing career where my timing has been perfect.
Wow. I love that for her.
I like how
Real
excited
excited
she is
about
about it. Yeah.
She's really happy. That's
Uh,
great. That's great. That's cool.
It is fun. Yeah, I guess there's also the bit where because Lauren jumps in front of the thing and that pays off,
Mm-hmm.
Tobias seeing the moms jump in front of things and
And
protect their kid.
don't forget the part when one of the controllers has a crossbow and he's about to shoot a snake, and Tobias jumps in front of the snake to stop it,
Right.
paying
Yeah.
that off.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Okay. Yeah, I take it all back. I take it all back. Uh,
Mhm.
Again, though, as much as it's really nice to see that payoff and have that bond there, you know, again, we are going to see that with her sight restored, we get a much bigger reaction to her seeing Champ for the first time than seeing her son for the first time. Which
Champ rules.
listen, this is what you get when you're working with white women, right?
Come
It's
on
just
now.
how it is.
Come on now.
It's just how it is.
Come on
I'm a truth teller.
now.
I'm just telling the truth.
I just don't like to hear about white women.
Okay, fair
Keep
enough.
them out of this.
Yeah, we can get off that topic.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh God, we're good.
End
This is
the
a bad
book.
episode.
End
Okay,
the book.
okay, we're back in the valley. As I said before, Lauren can see again. Her memories are not restored though. She did not fix her brain damage amnesia. Tobias at this point has yet to tell her about Elfangor. We get some more scenes of Hork-Bajir life, like with Rachel's mom and such. We get like a scene of Lauren playing with Champ while Tobias and Jake, as kids, sit and talk. And they kind of reflect on the fact that they've traded places, right? Jake has lost his family and Tobias has found his. And it ends with Tobias kind of reassuring Jake that, like, his family's not going to get killed, right? Tom and Jake's parents are worth a lot to Visser One now that Visser One knows Jake is the leader of the Animorphs, which I guess he knows somehow. And so as long as they keep fighting, they're going to stay alive. Like the family will stay alive. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of the thing, right? Is Jake, I do like this idea of this reversal of Jake and Tobias. Tobias is like finding the family that he has lost, where Jake is losing the family that he had the whole time. And like in the way that like Tobias once relied on Jake, maybe there's some reversal in some sense here, even though I'm not sure that pays off in later books. I like this idea. I like this conversation. It at least gives some perspective on why you might put these moments in a Tobias book, that this is because it's about Tobias's arc where he's connecting to his family and thinking about family. All these family things go in there.
Yeah, it's in some ways strange that, as we said, it's not a Jake book, but they found a way to make those connections.
Mm-hmm.
So at least there's something.
Yeah. And it does kind of make sense that if everybody's getting one last book, then maybe Jake should get the last book, right? Because he's Jake.
Mm-hmm. Right. He's Jake. He's our Jakey.
That's right.
Kay
Big
Applegate's
Jake.
favorite name.
All right. So, like, I guess let's go over some of these parents in the valley things.
I was really happy with these, even though it's not much.
Mm-hmm.
It's a small part of the book, but this is what I wanted to see in book 47.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Beaver
Yeah.
book. When they were in the Hork-Bajir Valley and Marco's parents were there, but they were just kind of like, I don't know, they're there in the corner hanging out. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah. And even in this book, they're still kind of like his dad's like off building cabins and his mom is getting debriefed by Toby.
But
Right, it's the other
we
parents that do
actually,
stuff.
but at least we know,
Yeah.
oh, they are using her for intel. Like they're acknowledging
Yes.
that she has knowledge of the Yerks, and she's giving them insight on what based on her experience. Like, yes, tell me they're doing that. At least you've told me, because in the other book, it didn't make sense that they weren't doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy about that. Now everyone, all of these parents do seem to be like Lauren, taking these revelations shockingly well.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, I guess there's like, they have adjusted to this life quickly.
Mm-hmm.
There's Hork-Bajirs among us, giant reptile snake monsters with blades all over them, and they're our friends, and there's alien slugs, and our kids are guerrilla war fighters. Sure, that's cool. We're down with it. Let's make the best of it.
Listen, they just got here. It hasn't had time to sink in yet. They don't really. They'll get there.
That's really the one, maybe the biggest aspect of the book that gets shortchanged. That's just, I know it's about the kids and not the adults, but it does feel like there should be more of an adjustment period. I don't know, I don't know how you do that. You need a POV from Marco's dad.
Yeah. I mean, they just don't have that much time to spend on it. Maybe they are adjusting and it's taking a while, but
it's something.
Yeah, we just see
something.
some scenes. I like that Cassie's parents are loved. All the Hork-Bajir follow them around. They love them.
Yes.
I do love Rachel's mom in the Hork-Bajir Valley here. She is really good. She is a lawyer, and so the Hork-Bajir got her to draft their constitution for them. To quote, there's an awful lot of discussion about bark and when you can strip it and how much and where, unquote.
Yeah, and don't we find out there's two factions of
it's like the deciduous and coniferous or whatever.
Which seems like, I don't know if that exactly gels with the Hork-Bajir mythology that we know, but it's fine.
It's great. I love it. I also like the part where they don't know how to read and write, and so they're like, teach us to read, Rachel's mom, and she says, do I look like a teacher? And it says, they voted again and decided that yes, she indeed did look like a teacher. So now she's got to teach him to read and write too.
It is pretty funny that they just love voting now. They've learned about democracy, and that's their thing.
Yeah, they learned they can vote.
We're voting on everything.
Also, it does seem like every vote that is being taken here is all unanimous. They're a little, they kind of got the idea.
Right. Hork-Bajir are so naturally agreeable, and they all have the same opinions on everything. The only disagreement is which trees are. Which bark tastes the best.
Yeah, that is the insurmountable argument that they need a constitution for, that Rachel's mom's going to come in and solve.
I don't know if, did they want a constitution before and Toby was like, nah, dog, I don't know how to do that shit? Or did they only just learn this concept from Rachel's mom and that's why they love it?
Yeah, I mean, it could be, right? Like, Toby's over here like, you just follow the seer. I'm the seer. Just follow me. And Rachel's mom's over here like, in America, we have a thing called democracy and we have laws. And they're like, oh, teach us about that.
It's pretty funny. I gotta say, there's a lot of fuss about Champ and how happy Lauren is to be reunited with her beloved Champ.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm asking? Where the fuck's Homer at? Notice Jake didn't give a shit about Homer.
Yeah. That's a good
Where's
question.
Homer? Could have grabbed Homer from the house.
That's
before
true.
The parents came home.
Yeah, because the Yerks aren't going to take care of Homer.
That's right. They're going to treat him like shit.
Yeah, they're probably going to just shoot him or something.
Fuck.
Yeah, where's Homer?
Bastards.
I hope Homer's around. Maybe Homer will be around in the later books. He'll just be here.
He fucking better be.
I think they took Homer. I think they got him out.
I hope so. Champ needs a buddy.
They made him into like the Buffa-Human. They made him into they gave him morphing powers, and he turned into a flea and rode away on them as bird. That That's what happened.
Okay.
Now Homer's here. Um,
Homer's my buddy.
yeah, I mean, I did still think like it felt like Cassie and Rachel's parents have more personality in this valley than like Marco's dad, for example. And I was thinking it kind of feels like Marco's dad had like an arc that he went through, like from being the like depressed on the couch, couldn't function into like making himself into a person, and then like when that kind of concluded, like what do you do with him? I guess he's running around with the cabins, whereas Cassie and Rachel's parents were always more just like characters, so you can like throw him in there, and because like I don't know what fun stuff you do with Marco's dad. I guess you make him work on the Z space thing with Axe, but we already did that.
Well, you still have his entire relationship with his
That's true.
estranged wife
That's true.
and
So you could
his
do
loss
that.
of his previous new wife.
Yeah, I mean, like
So
that is if
there's
only
a
they
lot
have
there.
if only they actually cared about Nora, right? In this
Yeah.
series. Like she's so
Well,
interesting.
yeah. It's I mean just from his perspective that's drama enough for 20 books if you
That's true.
cared to stretch it out.
Yeah, and
But
Ava's interesting in her own right, so like you have an in there too.
oh yeah, for sure. Like there's a lot you can mine from those two, but
That's
whatever.
fair. That's all fair.
I mean they don't, so uh anyway, I mean it's this is the first book in a long time that it really feels like the good old Animorphs.
Yeah.
It really feels like, as we said at the top, this feels like an early book in the sense that it's using the formula that works in a way that feels good, and things are happening that matter, and they don't even have to be game changing revelations like they are here. Like early on, we just had, oh, we met Axe, which I guess is game changing in a way, but stuff used to happen that was significant,
Hmm.
even if it wasn't like end of series significant.
Hmm.
You met the Chi or whatever. And so it's just nice to have a return to that. It really feels like, oh, we're back. This is the Animorphs. Even with the books we've had from the last season that I really liked, and there were some that I really liked, this feels like different. This feels like an actual return to form.
Yeah. And like I said before, this is the book that I had wanted to start this season on. It's just
Yeah.
ending on last book would have been weird.
No, I like starting with. I think it's good. I think it's good.
Just as a little intro. Okay, okay. Now that you've got a
Yeah.
taste of what we're
Yeah.
okay,
I think it would have been too much to jump right into this. I liked
that's
having
fair.
the palette cleanser.
I had also realized after it was too late and we started doing the season breaks that it might have been pretty fun to not do the season breaks and just have this be a shock. Like you're just sitting there like, when's it gonna matter? Like when is it gonna matter? And then here it is. Here it is.
Yeah. I needed a break.
Yeah, that's fair. We're back though. We're so back.
Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
Let's hope it's not so over next time. We're so back.
Mhm.
We'll have to find out.
How about some pop culture references?
I'd love some pop culture references.
There are kind of a lot.
Okay, well that's good because I wanted maybe a lot.
This book did not go light on them. All right, I'll try to get through them quickly, as always. Rachel, of course, brings Tobias McDonald's with a Big Mac, etc. I do like Tobias says, was there ever a more perfect food than a McDonald's French fry? So true, Tobias, so true. The X-Men have nothing on us, do they? Rachel says in reference to them meeting at the barn. That really just has nothing to do with the X-Men, to be honest, but I guess they also meet sometimes. Yeah.
They're kind of like superheroes. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, we're a long way from the days of Marco talking about how they're like Batman and Spider-Man every single book. Axe has a souped up Mac.
Hmm.
It's officially a Mac. Marco would let Rachel, or Tobias doesn't want to let Rachel buy him vitamin drops at PetSmart. They reference the CIA. That's a thing. We can count that. Marco says, unless you count the Victoria's Secret webpage, there are no babes in my life anymore. Poor Marco. That's kind of awkward. Do you think he makes Axe leave the scoop when he wants to browse the Victoria's Secret webpage?
I think he probably does, but Axe is really weird about it because he doesn't understand why.
He waits for him to go graze in the morning, and
Margot
he's
gets
like,
kind of upset.
if there's a tie on the rock, that means don't come in. Axe gazing lovingly at a magazine ad for the. Now this I don't understand. The new original M&Ms. Is that right? That's what I have. Did I get that right?
Yeah, did they? I wonder.
Was there a new formula?
Yeah, or like maybe this is around when they added a color. Because didn't they add a color around this time?
Well, there was the crispy M&Ms, which had the orange M&M.
I thought that like they added like blue or something.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe you're right. They did add blue, I think.
I don't know. Maybe that's not this at all.
Anyway, Marco also has assorted Game Boy cartridges. He lobs a TV guide. There's a lot of references to capital D dumpsters. There's a few. I don't know. Rachel backs up and squashes the trunk of a BMW. She crunches over crumbled sheetrock, of course. They say the Hork-Bajir that should be working for the WWF, which of course now is the World Wildlife Federation, but at the time was the World Wrestling Federation, now the WWE. Remember when that change happened?
I think the other WWF was also around at that time.
Oh, they were both around?
I think so. Could be wrong.
Yeah. I still think of it as a WWF, and when I see WWE, I get a little confused still. So no wonder I'm still having trouble with Visser 1. I mean, this shit takes years for me to internalize. Not that I'm a big wrestling fan. That's part of it. They're watching TV, and Pat Sajak gave the wheel a final spin. Didn't he just retire? So that's a little bit psychic. Yeah. They go to the 7-Eleven. Mr. fucking King says he's Louis Pasteur's fucking lab assistant. Fuck off. Rachel's sisters are watching Cat Dog. A lot of fun. They're also too busy eating Pop-Tarts. They get 3 suitcases and a Barbie overnight bag. Axe says about Rachel's sisters, they think I am a Pokemon. I have told them I am an Andalite and am actually quite swift, but they insist they need to train me. Very good.
I think, is that our first Pokemon reference? I think it might be.
God, can that be possible though? Pokemon's been around.
Yeah, I don't know.
There haven't been many. A lone hawk against Alexis, size 13 Reeboks. Ricky Lee is watching a Brady Bunch marathon on Nickelodeon. I don't need to tell you again that should be Nick at Night, but that's fine. An old woman flipped through a National Enquirer. Lauren buys a box of Raisin Bran. The neighborhood wasn't exactly brimming with bright, shiny Safeways. Coke sprayed onto the floor. Shuffled the Cheese Whiz in front of the marshmallow fluff. Maybe you shouldn't watch so much Nick at Night, someone says. So they do know what Nick at Night is, but that didn't make sense. I don't remember the context. There's some plan Tobias or somebody has, and they're like, maybe you shouldn't watch so much Nick at Night. I don't even know, like I Love Lucy. What shows on Nick at Night are giving you ideas about Animorph plans? It didn't make sense. I like this one when he's morphing and he says Nightmare on Sesame Street.
Yeah, that one's good. That's a twofer right there.
That's right. That's a really good one. Rachel, is it Rachel's mom that he refers to? Or no, it's his mom that he refers to as Thomas Jefferson in heels.
I think that was Rachel's mom because she's right in the Constitution.
That's what I thought, but I wrote down my mom. Thomas
Rachel
Jefferson
says that.
in heels. Oh, it's a quote. I didn't add quotes. I was thinking I was just thinking it was a POV thought. I got it now. Rachel and Marco worked like a pit crew at a NASCAR race. I sounded like some psychic network freak fortune teller. I think we've talked about the psychic network before. Someone has a Barney backpack strapped to their shoulders for some reason. I don't remember why. There's Hot Wheels cars skittering across the pavement. It's like an old Three Stooges movie when everyone's bumping into each other in this toy store. They're also slinging Legos, golf tees, and ping pong balls onto the floor. Don't need to tell you that plural of Lego should be Lego bricks. No such thing as Legos. And finally, Lauren tosses a frisbee, capital F frisbee.
So you got some that I didn't, but I have one more that you didn't say, I don't think, which, unless maybe you skipped it, like right at the beginning in chapter 3, he says that they could have, the Animorphs as a group could have starred in one of those weepy movies on Lifetime.
Oh, yeah, I missed that one. Wow, that's a good one.
So many.
There were a lot in this book. I mean, it was longer than usual, so
That's true.
I guess it tracks, but yeah. Tobias isn't usually the reference guy.
No. Well, I guess, again, Lisa Hartgrader did her research, and she realized that she needed some references.
Yeah. Well, because we didn't have an email this week, we got out of here. We're getting out of here somewhat without an incredibly long episode.
Well, not incredibly.
For us, this is normal. I mean, for a big book, for a longer than usual book, this is right on track. I think.
Yeah, you're right. You did it. We did it. Good
the
job,
expectations have to the standards must get lower as time goes on.
Things are probably going to get really bad in the last couple books, but it's going to be okay.
I'm worried.
I'm
worried. We shouldn't split anything up into 2 parts, I guess.
Yeah, no way. That's a bad idea.
Okay. Well, let us know what you think about this book now that we're finally up and running, or any other Animorphs thoughts. Maybe you can explain morphing to us. I don't know. Email us, theyerkyboys@gmail.com. We'll read it on the air, and you can add 15 or 20 minutes at least to each episode if you do that.
Mm-hmm. And you can also pay us $5 a month at patreon.com/theyerkyboys, and you'll get extra episodes, and you will also get full-length song parodies. It's just $5 a month. It's definitely worth it. What are we doing this week, John?
This week, on this week's Patreon episode, we will be watching and discussing the 2007 film Animorph.
Right.
And I will say no more about it.
So that seems pretty relevant, if you ask me. How could it not be?
Animorph.
Animorph, yeah. So definitely that's worth your time.
Animorph and I are getting old, but I still haven't watched this movie for the Patreon episode.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Tune in next time when we'll be talking about Book 50, The Ultimate, in which Cassie turns into an owl on The Yerky Boys.